Hello and welcome to the Computer Game Show. My name's David Turner. I'm here with James Farley.
Hello.
I'm also here with Matt Murray.
Hello there.
And John Denton.
Yellow.
And Matt Murray.
Hello there.
And John Denton.
Yeah, what's happening?
James Farley's here.
What's going on?
And I'm David Turner. Sorry. That was a genuine concern there from James. I didn't expect that. Everyone else rolling with it. James straight in there. What's going on? Hello.
Sorry.
How you doing this week, James? How you doing, mate? You all right?
I'm in a pretty good mood today, actually. Yeah.
So am I. I've been looking forward to recording this podcast since Nintendo went mental. I'm looking forward to getting to that.
Was that 2007?
Feedback.
It's going to be a good one. We haven't had much feedback this week, which is strange, right? Because just consider this. Maybe, like, say, 2 weeks ago, memes start happening on the TCGS Twitter account. The people they couldn't wait to tell me how much of an idiot I am. Dave last week admits it was his. Strangely silent this week. Not a lot of
I don't even know what point you're trying to make.
I'm sorry about that.
No one's sorry.
Like that,
no one's sorry about that. Like, they just assumed it was you. That was one of those things where they go, "That wasn't Matt." Really? Okay, all right, fine. I see no difference in the content we're getting from the Computer Game Show Twitter account. It's not been big news.
It is a real shame. I've had some I could have dropped before. I'm not going to do that. I mean, there's so many Uganda Knuckles memes. It could have been off the chain, but I won't.
I don't even know what that is. James, are you aware of Uganda Knuckles?
I don't know what he's talking about.
John?
No. I've been busy today. I'm annoyed. You spend one day busy
John,
and you're out of the game.
John, this is at least 2 weeks old. So
2 weeks?
Yeah.
To be fair, it's been a busy week.
But not only that, Matt, you were talking about how cutting edge you are with your memes, and you think about putting a meme out from 2 weeks ago.
No, 2 weeks ago was when you ruined everything. So I haven't done anything since. I've been out of the meme game. Whatever.
Are you throwing a strop? Are you throwing a Twitter strop?
Louis,
I know what that is. Sorry.
I
know what that is.
I tried it this week, but I don't think anyone noticed. So
you tried what?
Yeah, with a meme. I tried doing a meme, but yeah, I don't think anyone noticed.
Did you? I didn't even notice it. When?
Oh, I know. Don't say anything. Right, okay. Let's go. Matt.
Right, Louis Belfort. Can someone try to convince James that, one, no one cares where he lives? Also, Matt, don't stop memeing. They're cringe. Fuck you, Louis. But in a reassuring, familiar kind of way, like dad jokes.
Yeah, you're a walking dad joke. No doubt. James,
no doubt.
Would you want to read that other one about where James lives?
Oh, right. Are we reading that?
Well, James said that he can read it because he wants to clear something up, and I've got no idea what he's about to say.
No, not clearing anything up. It's just wanted to address some of the points made. I mean,
go on.
I can read it if you really want me to read it.
Matt is filling for time now because he hasn't copied it into the Google Doc, I reckon.
No, because I thought it was a bit too close to the boon, as it were.
Well, this is what's weird, right? Is that James said, no, read it because it gives me a chance to address it.
Totally forgot that. Anyway, Robert Castle emails in. Robert Castle, the Castle Man, emails in. I'm not expecting this to get read out.
Castle name for it.
First mistake. But after the last show, I think it needs to be pointed out something that can hopefully help reduce Dave's editing time. One, I know where Farley lives, and it's public information. Or more accurately,
that is fucking creepy. That is creepy. Go on.
More accurately, where he works, which means we can take a very good guess at where he lives.
Jesus Christ.
It gets worse. Search for James Farley University. Top hit is James's work page with requisite dated picture and all. Second is his LinkedIn page with his location.
That is weird.
I have no problem with James wanting to keep his location not mentioned on the show.
Oh, you got no problem with that, mate, no? You got no problem with that. You're fine with that.
Not even bother.
It doesn't sound like you've got no problem with that. I mean, Jesus.
I just wanted to point out the absurdity of it. As to why I was looking for this, well, I have a deep fascination with James Farley. How can I put it? I've had many an evening with my trousers down, some Barry White on the radio. I gave it a bloody good go.
And James's LinkedIn page.
Oh, the requisite picture as well. It's dated. Oh, God.
I'll be honest, I did that. After I read that email, I did go onto Google and search it, and it did come up. And I thought, when you say dated picture of James Farley, were you talking 1996?
No,
Yeah,
it's
when
you say dated, he's wearing flares.
Yeah, you look pretty young in that photo, James.
Anyway, sorry. After I was looking for this, I found this ages ago before the location issue came up. I was looking for what papers James had published. Sadly, I didn't find any, or his thesis. So what he's saying there, James, is that you're a liar.
I'm going to address that.
As an aside, the interface episode about China and censorship was fantastic, and I'd love to hear more about that. Love the show. Great to hear John on regularly again. Regards.
So can I answer this? Yeah.
Yes.
Well, so obviously, I don't really care. It's a joke. You know, it's funny.
Man, I don't care.
Someone's annoyed.
It's quite funny.
You did properly kick off the first time it happened, though.
Yeah, but that was ages ago, wasn't it? It was a long time ago.
You literally rang me up and said, please don't, because people might find out where I work. And I was like, James, no one gives a fuck about you, mate.
I know.
You're a fringe character.
I think James is like, I don't want fans turning up to my lectures.
Yeah.
no one wants to turn up to one of your lectures. Not even the people that are actually at the university. They're like, oh my god, it's James Farley. Fuck.
Yeah, I mean, the funny thing is, like, the students like, oh god, he's wearing a TCGS t-shirt again. Like,
Dr. Farley, I mean, we signed up for a history in Chinese, from Chinese history, and instead you spent the last half an hour telling us about how free-to-play on mobile is ruining your life. I mean, I don't know why I'm still
Dr.
here.
Farley, we know you hate Stardew Valley, but Animal Crossing isn't that good anymore. Can we get on with the subject matter?
Get out.
Dr. Farley, you say it's Wednesday, but how can we trust you anymore? I mean, you've changed the days of the week around all the time. A whim. You know what I mean?
Dr. Farley, how hard is it to open a door in a game? I mean, come on, mate. Sorry, sir.
You finished? Yeah, you finished.
Yeah, we're finished.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, so
Dr. Farley. No, I'm joking, mate.
Dr. Farley. No.
So yeah, in general, not really bothered anymore because, as
Clearly,
you said, it's kind of ridiculous. The papers thing, though, I want to address because my
Is
thesis.
that it? You're just brushing over that hours of editing for the past
fine,
year.
yeah. But,
No, it's fine.
The papers
He lives
thing,
in
though,
Canterbury. Go on.
Thanks, David.
You don't care. You don't care, James.
Yeah, it's
So
Canterbury. I've
I
got
can
his
say
address here.
Canterbury now.
What's his postcode?
I've got it. Hold on.
Actually,
Thank you,
postcode.
thank you for trying to dox me on here, Matt. It's yeah.
Go on. The
So yeah,
papers thing.
so the papers thing, my thesis is available, but actually it's currently embargoed in the repository because I've got a book contract and I'm writing a book and it's based on my
Convenient.
thesis. So yeah,
Convenient.
but I'll let you know when it's out. I'll tweet it.
Dave,
Yeah, take your alerts.
Book plugs.
episode name, Embargoed in the Repository.
Can we? Yeah, no, that's got to be it. But can we do a book signing? Can we do a book signing?
Absolutely not. No,
Oh,
that's not
God,
gonna
we've
happen.
got to do a
Better than
book signing.
Can we do like the intro? You know what? You know when like
The
we're like
forward.
introducing. Yeah, forward. Yeah.
Forward
You see,
by David
when
Turner. This
I
guy's a
finished it,
fucking
right?
idiot. Don't listen to a word he says.
When I finished it, you have to put like acknowledgements in. There's no way I'd ever acknowledge you guys. Like that
No,
would never
Acknowledge
happen.
the
Utter
show,
bastard.
James. Acknowledge the show.
No,
You're a
No,
total
I'm
joke.
talking about interface. Acknowledge interface.
we don't
James.
even acknowledge interface.
Yeah, I know
No one's ever acknowledged interface. James, after all I've done for you, you wouldn't put an acknowledgement for me in your book.
Absolutely
after
not.
everything I've done for you,
Dedicate it to me,
what have you
James.
done? What have you done apart from made my life miserable for the last 2 years?
I put you in a position where you can get free games.
That is undeniably true, but that's
I've made
probably
you
the only
internet
upside.
famous. Yeah.
That's not a good thing. But you go.
Oh, all right. Well, then fuck off. You know where the door is. You give it all a big un. You give it. Oh, I don't even like this. Well, fuck off then. We'll get someone that does.
Cane and rinse.
Why do you fuck off to Cane and Rinse?
I really don't want to do that. But you know, yeah.
Oh, okay. For those listening from Cane and Rinse headquarters.
Don't send him one of those weird emails where it just summons you because he will not reply. Next.
Oui. Thanks, Robert Castle, for the email.
I forgot there was an
Dad
email involved.
Spickable tweeted in, all right, James, you're back down on my rankings. Doki Doki Literature Club was fantastic, and while some portions of reading were boring, it was still quite a good story reading them.
No, it wasn't.
And some of those scares, pretty good for free.
People did not like you not liking that game, James.
I know
I'll tell you that.
there was one good scare, The writing was average at best, and it's not amazing. It's not a bad game by any stretch of the imagination, but it's not amazing. Sorry.
I'll tell you what I did find weird when I was editing it back at the thing, like after we recorded. I was thinking, you said several times, it's good, but it's been done better elsewhere in other games. And I said, well, what other games? Well, I don't know. I haven't played them. And I just thought, well, hold on, wait.
No, it's but what I was trying to explain is it's maybe not so much in games, but also in other medium it's been done better. This style has been done better.
Right, okay. I think shaky grounds there. You got to give examples.
Well, I did. School Days.
Yeah, but which is not a game. That's what I'm saying. Like,
it is a game. It was a game originally.
And it's done better in that.
I don't know because I've not played it, but I know that...
Unbelievable!
No.
I'm lost.
No, listen.
I'm so lost.
No, okay.
I know, John, honestly, this is the sort of shit you have to go through with him.
No, because this is nonsense, because you're not listening to what I'm saying.
He makes a point,
nonsense.
and then he tries to patch it, right? And then it starts leaking in another part, and he tries to patch that. And you're like,
day one patch with
School Days.
School Days.
Okay, School Days, the anime, was better than
Days
this.
one patch.
School Days on patch.
School Days the anime was better than Doki Doki Literature Club. Okay, that was based on a visual novel, which I haven't
read
played.
the novel?
Matt, just continue. This is just
James, you cannot get arsey with Matt about that. He's going to make sure that you've completed everything you talk about now from now on after the Game of the Year
when
show.
you ripped me a new one on the Gothic show.
That's because you've been a serial offender. How's Assassin's Creed Origins going, Matt?
I haven't played it since.
You haven't played it? Okay. Let's have a look. What have you played this week, Matt? Let's have a look at what you've been playing. Oh,
hold on, we're not on that bit yet. Spoilers.
Yeah,
James. You can't just destroy the podcast like that.
James.
Come on, James. Right, okay, come on. Let's go.
Sean
let's go.
Thomas. This is so with John Denton.
Guys, we're already 90 minutes into the podcast, and we're on the first week, John.
Fuck you. Sean
if you're hearing this now, I've edited out a lot.
There was 60 minutes of just Canterbury. It was quite good. With John Denton on Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, best 2D platform I've ever played. Just ahead of Shovel Knight, Super Guacamelee, New Super Mario Bros. U, and Rayman Origins. He hasn't played Super Mario World. That was Sean S. Thomas.
Sean S. Thomas, appreciate the solidarity, but you need to step up your 2D platformer game and get Super Mario World involved immediately. Because, come on.
Yeah.
Guacamelee, I love that.
It's good, but come on, mate.
Yeah. Guacamelee is the real deal.
Guacamelee. Last bit of feedback. Actually, no. James, have you posted some more feedback in here?
I put that in because it was just in an email that came in just before the show started.
Was that the one where he goes through? There's one where he goes through each of us. Have you not picked that one, Matt? It was really good.
No, but I can read that now. So I didn't go into the inbox.
Okay, cool. So you give me all this shit about my editing, and you haven't really done your job this week.
That's hardly comparable.
Well, I mean, both of us fucked up. I apologise. You seem to be trying to defend yourself already. Come on, let's go. Let's go.
Sam Quirk. Hi guys, I've binged every episode in the last 4 or 5 months, and it's genuinely brought some sunshine to a pretty dark winter, so thank you for that. A bit of feedback of the last episode though. Dave, don't feel bad about the weird time thing on Matt's audio. It's happening on my podcast edits too, and others have said the same thing. Clearly something is fucked up and happened to the fabric of time itself. Don't take Matt's shit for it.
I appreciate that, mate, but I should have picked up on it, so I will take a bit of shit, but I appreciate it.
Sam. He really should have picked up on it. Speaking of Matt, don't use my tweet clearly mocking or genuinely shit pun and pretend like it's a reply to Dave's brilliantly shit memes. You swine. I wish you happy birthday and everything. Yeah, thanks.
No reply to that, Matt? You're just going to go silent?
Just thanks, Sam. I really appreciate the happy birthday. Jesus. Next
You've
up,
been told, Len. You've been
Sean, loving the new voice, name and personality. But your noisy dog has morphed into a creaky chair or desk, or maybe it's your back. Whatever it is, it's loud, mate. Get some WD-40 on it.
Sorry, did you feel awkward when I said to you, please don't make any noise this week?
Me?
John? Yeah.
Not. I mean, I knew I made noise. I needed the
right,
move.
okay. I just didn't know if I was like, I don't know why I'm suddenly all scared of you, but I was like kind of, do I, cross that boundary of, we're usually mates to now he's been on the podcast? Do I turn around and go, come on, John, sort your noises out? I'd rather know
if I was making noise and ruining the podcast.
You said you knew that you made
I've got a creaky chair. I'm actually sitting on the second, I've got a much creakier chair, and this is the less creaky chair. It's all I can do, guys. I'm sorry.
Maybe try not to get a creaky chair. Why have you got 2 creaky chairs? Like, there's one
Matt, we don't all live up north where everything costs like £2. I can't afford a new chair.
You got me an egg on. You can't move for chairs in my house. It's ridiculous. Finally, James, you're doing a fine job on the news, mate. You don't need to stop for advice on how to proceed after reading the first line of every story.
That's a good point.
Also, can you go back to being the main fuck-up, please? Matt's just not very good at it. Sam,
Matt's not good at fucking up.
I don't know. I think he's done a pretty stellar job over the last couple of months.
I think I've done all right. Plenty more where that came from. Okay, I got an email from Adam Reynolds. This is the last of the feedback. Feedback first. I'm sorry, but I just can't do it. Last week I made a harsh joke that I didn't like Matt. I was swept along with the jovial, light-hearted spirit of Matt bashing. Is it light-hearted? Not quite sure.
Not really.
But hearing Matt's reaction last week has left me feeling bitter, guilty, and genuinely empty. Sorry, Matt. You continue to stand up for yourself. You have far less respect if you had bowed to pressure and removed Firepoint as one of your Gotti nominees. So yeah, as of now, you stood by your individualism, passion, and optimistic nature, and you have my utmost respect for it. Well, I mean,
what the fuck is it written? That was an email there from Matt's mum.
That's an email from Jill Murray. No. On a further, actually, I was genuinely close to getting Jill on the podcast just to announce that I didn't force her to write the reviews. Oh no, sorry, I did force her to write the reviews on Apple Podcasts. I just didn't write them myself.
That's the opposite then, isn't it?
Anyway, thanks for the email, Adam. Yeah. Cool. That's it for feedback. That's very much it for feedback. If you want to tweet us, it's at ComputerGamePod on Twitter or email thecomputergameshow@gmail.com. We love your feedback.
Let's get to the bit that I'm really excited about. The news.
Okay.
With James Farley.
I've got loads
James
of news.
Farley.
I've got loads of news this week.
I've got loads of news, mate. I just went out. I picked up loads of news, mate. Oh. So you want some news? I've still got so many covers.
And I know for sure that, David, you're going to love this stuff. Because
I'm going to love it, mate.
There's lots of really good stuff in it.
Get a load of this. Put us down the pile.
Like a bloke in a dodgy pub car park. You're going to love this stuff, mate.
Right up your street.
Okay, so the first piece of news we got is Yuji Naka has joined Square Enix.
My boy.
He joined this month.
Naka's. Love that boy.
There's no news on what he's going to be developing, but this is still... I don't know, I guess it's kind of interesting. I mean, I don't know what's happened to Prope, his studio that he had, because I don't know if that's going to continue or not.
This is brilliant.
Has he made a good game since, 1992, though? That's my question.
No,
he made that Kiwi game.
Billy Hatcher, John. Perhaps you remember it.
Yeah, that was from, 1998, 2000?
He made the last thing was in 2015. It was 2015 was the last thing they made.
Yes, and that was that.
The Kiwi thing, right?
No, they had the Street Pass games for 3DS.
Okay.
They made a bunch of those.
Oh, fair
you
enough.
liked them, didn't you?
They were alright. Yeah, they're pretty good.
James was the only one who liked them.
Yeah.
He hasn't said what he's working on, but I thought you'd be excited, Dave, seeing as you're a big fan of his. So,
where have you got that from? I think it's funny because he sat and watched this podcast once. That was great.
Your history with him, and you had some rapport on the stage, didn't you?
Sorry, Dave, are you dating Yuji Naka?
It's not out yet. It's not come out yet. It's all... no, I'm not. Next.
Ooh.
Okay, next one we got is PlayStation announces official shoe.
Come on.
Okay, so... sorry.
Oh, look at him. Look at him goes. That's really chuckled him, that, isn't it? It's really got him. He's cracking himself up.
So these are made in collaboration with Nike. They light up with PlayStation symbols and have 3 settings which are off, on, and pulsing. The symbols flash on there. There's also a PSN voucher in the heel of each pair, which unlocks a theme for the PS4. And they have a Zoom airbag thing. What do you think, David? Would you buy these?
No, absolutely not. But then I saw a lot of people slagging them off on Twitter, as you'd expect. Mm-hmm. But the people slagging them off were quite different when Nintendo announced their Vans one, which were far more garish than these ones. So, come on. All right, double standards. Yeah, no, I don't want to wear anything gaming related, to be honest with you. I mean, around the house, I'd wear a Mario t-shirt. I'd be all over that shit, but I can't be walking around in... I'm too old now. Not only that, I'm a grumpy man, especially in the office. I'm a grumpy little man.
It's not your age. You're the youngest one of all of us.
Yeah,
hold on. That doesn't mean that I should be able to pull this stuff off. We all know that. I'm not saying that you guys would be fine wearing these trainers either, John.
I would be.
No, Matt, no. This is the
problem. When I first saw these,
I think I would be. You wouldn't be, Matt. Okay, you wouldn't be.
No. I'll be honest, I wouldn't, and I don't want to buy them.
When I first saw these, though, Matt, I thought of you, to be honest.
I knew you would. I thought of you
look
at
first
Matt's new shoes, everyone.
Yeah, because come on, Matt, you had those like Brussels sprout ones or whatever it was.
I won them in a competition, and they're like a competition now.
So I thought of you.
I mean, whatever. They're bringing out PlayStation. If you're into PlayStation, then you want PlayStation trainers, then there you are. They're not for me. They're not for you. They're not for anyone that listens to this or anyone that's on this.
It's interesting little collaboration, but I'm certainly not going to buy any. But yeah,
I mean, do what you want. If you like them, buy them. I don't care. I really don't care. But there you go.
But where are the Xbox trainers? Like, come on, make it fair.
How about you, John? Would you get?
I'm just upset that I put out an excellent tweet the second I heard this story. An excellent tweet. I said that Eurogamer put up the story, the exact story we got in the doc. I retweeted that with a quote tweet and put, "This is for cross training." And I was like, 1 like I got on that. 1 like.
Didn't get it.
Cross.
I'll be honest with you.
Cross. Square, circle, triangle, cross.
Right. Okay.
But they call it cross. The PlayStation calls it cross.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. I've always called it X.
1 like I got on that.
This is for X training.
I mean, I don't know who liked it. Some absolute mug.
No, he was very nice.
Okay.
Fuck you all.
Next story.
Okay, next story is this is another David themed one. 50 Cent as ideas for another video game.
Whoa, James, I put something else in the story which also links nicely on. Are you not reading the doc?
Who cares? Why don't you just let him do that and then come on to your one afterwards?
Because I was keeping with the PlayStation theme.
Well, okay, do the PlayStation one then.
Matt's chosen PlayStation characters get amiibo-like figures, even though he's written that, but they're not amiibo-like because they're basically just figures. There's no
they're
NFC
just figures.
in it. It's just figures.
Well done,
That's me copying the headline from Eurogamer. I just thought it was
literally the biggest non-story
this.
there is. We're releasing little characters. Okay, cool. Right. Now, what was the next one after that?
Let's get on to the 50 Cent.
Matt, stay out the news. Stay out the news from now on.
I'll do something else later.
Please don't. Can you delete that, James?
No.
Yep.
Go on. Let's go.
So, 50 Cent has ideas for another video game.
Oh, and you said the last one has ideas. Great.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't the best story, but John, have you played Blood in the Sand?
Yeah, I've played both these games.
So here's the thing, right? I've never played it. It's been one of those games that I thought, I'd always give a go. But, everyone goes how brilliant it is. And I think what I get from talking to people about Blood in the Sand is that it's not that it's a brilliant game, it's more that it's surprisingly better than people thought when they initially went into it. Is that right?
It's a very, very competent co-op cover shooter that's very funny. Doesn't outlive its, doesn't outstay its welcome. It's better than Army of Two. It's thoroughly decent and genuinely funny the whole time. So it's good.
When he turns around and says, I want to make another one, I nearly called him Dr. Dre, he's 50 Cent. I'm not into my rap stuff. When he says, I'm bringing out another one, does that interest you in the slightest?
Well, I think most of the ideas that made that game funny were from the devs. I don't think they were from 50 Cent, because if you played his first game, Bulletproof, that was a whole heap of dog shit. So,
John,
yes.
do you want to hear what it's based on, though? This may change your mind. So, it's based on his upcoming Stars show called Tomorrow Today, of which he's the executive producer and star of the show. And this is the plot. It's apparently about a veteran who gains superpowers after being experimented on by a mad prison doctor.
Okay.
That's the
sounds like he's not going to be 50 Cent in the game.
No,
that's the good thing about the game, is that he's not 50 Cent as someone. It's 50 Cent and Tony Yayo and his boys, the G Unit. And then when they throw a grenade, he goes, "Fuck a grenade!" It's a very decent game. I can't play a game where he's just playing someone else. It's not.
Yeah.
Happen,
also, it sounds like he's got a new show coming out, and he wanted to get it in places to.
Well, he's got that sweet TCGS time slot with his promo now. So exactly,
loving this,
loving it. Okay, cool.
And then 50 the viewing figures are through the roof. What is it? Probably
I would read the quote, but it's just not very interesting. Anyway, so then we've also, the last thing I've got is the Nintendo Labo, which obviously was announced last Thursday. This
is what I was excited to talk about. So last week, Nintendo said, we've got something new to announce. It's for children. And the young at heart, or whatever they said. And they said it was a new way to play. And I was interested, but if I'm totally honest, I totally forgot that it was happening, because they announced it like the day before, was it? And then said it was at 10 o'clock that night. And it wasn't until I finished a round of PUBG that I checked my phone and John was saying, okay, go on YouTube and search Nintendo Labo because you got to see this shit. So I was like, okay, what's this all about? And I was watching it, and I just thought, Nintendo have lost their fucking minds. I mean, they've gone insane, and I've never loved anything so much. Like, I've watched it with my mouth open. I was genuinely excited, and it might not be a popular sort of thing to say, because I know that, you know, people fall in love with Nintendo and then they really sort of overblow their emotions about them and stuff. But I came away from that just thinking, like, it was like a weird feeling of pride, like as if I was so happy that they were even doing this wacky weird shit that I was just properly excited. The next day I went in, showed everyone at work, they all loved it. I mean, John, you're probably in the best position. Like, you seemed well pumped from the start. Can you explain to the listeners what Nintendo Labo actually is?
Okay, I'll do my best. So, right, put me on the spot. Let's try and work out what it is. So, yeah, a bunch of basically the ability and the tools to create bizarre play sets using flat pack cardboard, which you fold into certain sets and then use software in the Switch that aligns with those sets, and then you unhook one of the Joy-Cons, the one with the IR camera, that goes into certain parts of these play sets, and the Switch goes into other parts. So the example that they use in the video, I'm sure everybody's seen, it was a working mini piano, and then there's like a fishing game where you have a fishing rod with string attached to it in a working, what's it called? Reel? I don't fish. And, yeah. And just, I think there's 6 or 7 in one set, and then another one where you sort of build a cardboard thing around you physically that's attached to a string, and you become a robot, and then it's the robot in game. And I mean, it's in terms of innovation, creativity, just sort of inspiration, absolutely amazing. You know, the jury's obviously going to be out on how this stuff actually works or the longevity of it, blah blah blah. But I don't really think that's the point at this this stage. Like, you know, many people have made this point already, but while Sony, Microsoft, and Intel, and all these NVIDIA, etc., chasing, you know, higher polygon counts and 4K and all that sort of stuff. I've got no problem with any of that stuff, by the way. Nintendo just you know, completely sidestepping every trend, every idea, and doing something like this. And it's just a keen reminder as well that this is a company that has kids in mind first and foremost, and then, you know, their products, their content, their art is of such a high standard that it transcends age and generations and everything like that, and that's why we love them too. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure you guys showed the video to your kids. I showed it to Elliot, and it just blew his mind. He'd never seen anything like it. But to be fair, I remember I just watched and I was like, I don't even have any words. I don't even know what I just saw. It's not like I left it pumped like I would be for a trailer to a game that I'm really, really excited to play on, you know, whatever console, because it's different. But it was just more like that's amazing. That's amazing that they even thought of that. And then I don't know if you saw that tweet that was put out by my old friend Ash, who used to work for Nintendo, works at Team 17 now. It got a ton of retweets. That old folding cardboard things that Nintendo made like 40 years ago before they ever did games.
I did see that.
Fold into cars and shit. So yeah, just what an amazing video. I'm sure everybody's seen it, but I'm sure, is that the consensus for everyone, or is someone going to come on and say it's shit?
I think you've described my feelings perfectly there, because I it's that, isn't it? I mean, I didn't come away from it saying I'm definitely going to buy that. There wasn't at any point was I thinking this is going to be the biggest thing ever, you know, or anything like that. I just come away thinking, thank God for Nintendo. Like, thank God that there's a company out there that's doing all this weird shit. I love incredibly good-looking games. I love the 4K stuff. I love shooters, right? But thank God Nintendo exists to just whack this weird shit out there. And like I was saying to some of the people that I showed to at work who were gobsmacked, and they absolutely loved it. I was saying, the thing is with Nintendo, for every idea like this, there's about 8 fucking weird ones that are awful. You know what I mean? Like, I know it's been brought up a million times before, but I will never forget the time a guy come out on stage, put something on his finger and said, "This is the Wii Vitality sensor," and everyone in the audience was silent, and he walked off stage and we never saw it again. It's just the weirdest shit like that. But that's kind of why you love Nintendo. And I think obviously they're riding on the wave of how good the Switch is doing and how much goodwill they're getting from that, like, and how everyone loves their current console. But at the same time, it just had this weird sort of, it like switched a light bulb off in my head. And, you know, we've moaned about Nintendo about a lot of things, and rightly so, you know, their approach to online stuff and, you know, their lack of virtual console stuff at the moment, and bits and pieces like that. But when you look at something like that, you just go, you know what, that, if anything else, it's inspiring. And I thought there's going to be a lot of, at the moment, the Switch is home for the indie scene, right? That's where most of the indie games are all like sort of rushing towards. It doesn't take much for them to utilise what the Joy-Cons have and put out something that you can print off and fold up around the Joy-Con. Like, what are they going to do with it? Now, they could have done that from the very start, from the moment the Switch come out. But I think this coming out is going to inspire them in ways that they never would have been beforehand. You know what I mean? Nintendo seemed to manage to give birth to inspiration. Like, it's just, I found it so exciting, proper buzzing. James, do you hate it?
No, I don't hate it. I also
wow.
No, I also think it's
well
amazing.
Done, Nintendo.
No, because it's the sort of, you know, the creativity side of it is so interesting to see, and it's like you said, you know, with all the other companies sort of chasing this sort of dream of like higher and higher like resolutions and everything, and then this comes and it is something which is just really playful and just creative, which is, I mean, I showed it to my wife and she absolutely loved it. I mean, she pre-ordered it, like I haven't, she did. And yeah, it looks really, really interesting. I mean, my only concern about it was the price. You know, when they said what it was going to be, but I have sort of mixed feelings about that, because we talked about this offline, but it's kind of like, it's like you said, for a game it's not so for a game it's kind of expensive, but for like a toy it's not. And this is Nintendo doing what they do best, which is basically they're a toy company. Yeah, they make really interesting experiences and toys, and that's what this kind of is. And that's why I don't really see the price point as being a massive problem, because compared with things like Lego and stuff, it's not so different in price.
It's not. Before we continue on with the price stuff, because I've got something I do want to say about that, and we need to give the prices out and stuff. Matt, what was your reaction?
Well, I was away when this was announced, and I think I must have been in one of the WhatsApp groups. You're like, just look at this video. So I hadn't seen any of the hype or anything on Twitter. I mean, I knew they were going to announce something because I saw that initial tweet, but I wasn't there when it was being announced. And I watched the video, and yeah, it was classic Nintendo of like, what is this? This just looks crazy. Yeah, I think it looks really good. I mean, I think I want to get it more for Elodie than myself. I mean, it looks,
of course, yeah.
It looks interesting, but you know, it doesn't really interest me. But I was wondering, she's way into her colouring and arts and crafts at the moment, so I reckon it'd be great just to have as like a, you know, just to make a cardboard shape would be fun enough, let alone the actual game stuff itself. The conversion kit's interesting, so. Because when I first saw this, I thought, well, is the fun just building it once and then playing these mini game things for 5 minutes and that's it? But there's this conversion kit where you can, or customization kit, so I think they call it, where you can have stencils and stickers and stuff. Yeah. So I presume that's more for the long-term, you know, use of the actual cardboard kits themselves.
I don't know about that. I don't know about long term. It's not going to change the durability of the thing, is it?
No, I guess not. No.
But I mean, the other thing. Sorry, Matt. Go on.
No, that was it. I thought it looks really interesting. I mean, it's so. Yeah, we'll come on to the price in a minute, and there's some question marks there. But yeah, I'll be fascinated to see how this does. I mean, how popular this is, or if it really is more just for parents buying it for their kids.
It also looks like they've repurposed that. Do you remember there was like that Project Giant Robot or whatever it was that was going to be for Wii U, and it looks like that's what this Switch, what this one is. You know, the robot kit. It looks like perhaps it's maybe it's based on that, or they're just, you know, they're repurposing that, which is really interesting.
Right. So talking of the price, so there's 2 packs coming out. What is it, in a couple of months?
27th of April.
Yeah, right, 27th of April. So you've got the variety pack, which has, you know, the smaller stuff. It's got like what they're calling a remote control car thing, but it's like a bug that uses the vibrations of the Joy-Cons to move along. It's got the piano. Do you know how that works? Because it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's through the sensor, isn't it? On the
it's the sensor at the top of the thing, and there's reflective materials on the back of each key, so it can pick up what's being pressed at what time.
Yeah.
And apparently there's elastic bands that make them ping back up and stuff like that.
That was the other really cool thing about this, wasn't it? How apparently it will like, explain how all this works, and it's sort of seeing the inside mechanics of it, which is just it's fascinating.
That was one of the coolest bits when they showed you inside the backpack of that robot. That's one of my favourite bits of the video. That, and of course, like people picked up that there are also things that they show in that trailer that aren't in either of these packs. So it looks like Nintendo are going to be releasing more of these things. So in England or the UK, it's £60 for the variety pack, and £70 for the robot suit.
Well,
is that right?
No. So it's $70. So we're not
no.
No.
It's definitely $59.99 for one and $69.99 for the other.
Okay,
because they confirm that. Yeah.
So I was thinking initially I was thinking this needs to be the same price as a normal game, right? So we know that the software involved is not going to be anywhere as advanced as it is one of the main things, but getting all these kits as well, these kits made of cardboard, that's also, chucked that in. Essentially, it looks like you're getting that stuff for free with a game. And we don't know how in-depth these games are, so whether you can compare that, I don't know. But when you think about it as a parent that's been buying toys and, Hot Wheels bits and pieces, about £60 to £70 for that amount of building stuff. And I know people are saying cardboard, I get that.
It's not just the cardboard though, is it? Have you seen the list? It's not. It's insane.
And
it's like
you could say the same thing like Joe, when I bought the Hot Wheels garage for Harry, Joe looked at it and went, that's a lot of money for just bits of plastic. And she's right, you can't look at the toys like that. That's not how it works, right? And that brought me to that point that I told you about, James, where it feels expensive in terms of gaming, but not in terms of children's toys, because you're used to paying that sort of stuff and whatever. It's comparable. Then I was thinking about it more and more, and I think, I'm not saying they should have done this, but I wished they had. When you look at Hot Wheels and when you look at Lego and stuff like that, there's not like two price points for those kits, are there? They obviously, these companies know how to drag you in. They know that the initial payout isn't going to be £70 to £100. Harry has got into Hot Wheels because he's been buying £1.50 cars and little track sets for £5, and then come Christmas he wants the £70 Hot Wheels garage.
Yeah.
What I would have liked to have seen is for the everything in the variety pack to be split out. And then, so you've got an entry level thing like the RC car for £5, and then the piano all the way up to the piano, which could be £25 or something like that. Now, obviously, I don't know the business side of things. I have no idea if they've looked at that or if that would have worked. But what I'm saying as a parent, it would have been great to say, oh, do you know what? This Labo stuff looks great, but I ain't really willing to chuck £60 at it straight from the off. It would be good to have a £5 to £10 option of one of the smaller bits to try it out and see what it's all about. And then, if Harry likes it, it'd be like, well, I want that one now, and I want that one. And I think we'd see more releases as well. It wouldn't just be a variety pack 2. There would be, okay, now there's this little cool contraption that you can make. Now there's this one. And buying them separately seems like more appealing to me as a consumer.
I don't know, because this is a conversation I have with Chen, actually, because when she first saw the variety pack thing, she thought, is it just, are they going to make us pay, for each one? And she was really unhappy with that idea. But then when she heard that it was all of them in one, she was much happier about it, with the price.
Why's that?
I don't know, maybe it's because, just one of those, is it really... if you put it at a much lower price point, maybe it'd be more appealing, but, some of them don't look that complicated or,
No, that's what I'm saying, but then that makes it perfect then, doesn't it?
Yeah, I guess
because,
so,
if that RC car one was £5, it gets you into the idea of buying Nintendo Labo stuff.
Yeah. Without
having to spend too much money. It's all about getting you behind this idea of creating cardboard models and making something out of it. that's what I think. I mean, I don't, as I say, I don't know how they've priced their business around this. So what I'm saying could just be flat out, like, it could not work for them. But for me, it's kind of like, I wish there was a cheaper option to just try this Labo stuff out first and then expand the collection. You know what I mean?
Maybe it's because, I mean, the thing is, with buying stuff like Lego, there's no extra buying though. You just buy it and you just use it. Whereas with this, you do need a Switch. Like, you need to have that, which maybe that changes the dynamic slightly. It's like they know that not everybody obviously has that, so just go for like this variety pack instead.
I'm not sure I totally agree. I mean, yes, you need the Switch, but I don't see how that changes the sort of idea of splitting things up and having cheaper options.
Because if you've like bought into like a system, like you bought like a Switch, and so you've spent like money on that, buying something which is in like a pack, which is like a game, which is people already understand that as a concept as being like, you buy this like this, buy this game for this machine. If you go into like Tesco's or whatever and you just see these like packs for like £5 or whatever, and you don't have a Switch, you'd be thinking, why do I?
Yeah,
what is this?
I can imagine those parents buying, thinking, it's like one of those blind bags or whatever. You spend a £5 and like, they can't play this. But
because I mean, you've also exactly. You've got somebody buys it and they haven't even got a Switch or whatever, and then you're just like, what is the point of this? Whereas it's like, with the fact that it's expensive, it looks like a game, it'll feel like a game. It's like, what it's for, if you see what I mean.
I'm not sure I buy that. I'm not sure I buy that logic. John, what do you think?
In terms of separating them or having them all together,
yeah,
I think it makes sense to have them all together at the moment to kind of as an introduction, so introduce to the market like this. Also, I'd imagine the conversation, this is a boring thing to talk about, but the conversations they're having with retailers, etc., they'll be having those conversations beforehand when they decide how to package it all up. So it probably makes sense in terms of like the sort of shelf space that people want to give up to them, all that sort of stuff. And then once it's established, if it's successful, if people get into it, if it becomes, must have for Christmas and stuff, then I'm sure we'll see individual packs and stuff being separated out down the road.
Yeah, I'd love to see that, for them to just go, here are the next like 5 or 6 things we've got for Labo, buy them individually.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? That stuff would be cool.
Buy them all together
and then
for a
you
little
get,
discount.
like, I've got a vision in my head as well, like it hanging like a magazine, but with these cardboard bits, and inside is a code to just download whatever it operates it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Maybe they could do one of those magazine series, where it's like you just buy it, you get a bit of cardboard with it, and like a download code, and then it like shows you how to do it or whatever.
When it comes to the negatives as well, a lot of people were saying, I don't really want to slide my £350 console or whatever it is. No, it's not 350 quid, is it? How much is a Switch these days?
280?
Yeah, 280.
Sorry, I don't want to slide my £280 console into a bit of cardboard and give it to my kid.
Well, don't do it then, you fucking miserable sod. Yeah. I mean, what?
That's
Jesus.
That's the answer, isn't it? And not only that, when you're seeing babies holding £1,000 phones, like in restaurants and stuff, I don't think the majority of the people think like we do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm not sure I'm totally on board with that. There is, I've not been seeing. I haven't seen a lot of reaction to this on Twitter. What's it been like?
Everything I've seen has been basically positive. Jokes and gags, obviously, but overriding positivity and the similar sort of vibe, because nobody really knows what it's going to be like to assemble these things. Like, I fucking hate making flat pack furniture and generally assembling anything. So I was reading how long it takes to make some of this stuff, and it's like hours. I was like, actually, I don't really want to do this at all. But at the same time, I'm, like we talked about, already massively impressed, really blown away by the kind of inspiration and innovation. So that's generally the vibe that I've seen from plenty of places. Like, everyone else is doing loot boxes. Nintendo does cardboard boxes. There's been a line that I've seen a lot. It's just, I mean, how could you be negative about it unless you just want to be a snarky prick?
Yeah.
There's been, there's been quite a lot of people that have kind of been sort of like, it's not for me or whatever, but I'm not going to like rag on it. So I don't care about it.
Because it isn't. It isn't for people of our age, really, at all. I mean, if I didn't have kids, I'd be like, that's cool, but I would never get it.
No, totally. Yeah, no, I'm with you.
But the thing is you also get that thing where like Nintendo does inspire people to just like people get really attached to them and just want to buy everything the company's ever made. And,
that's very true.
Yeah, and so they go a bit crazy about this sort of stuff.
Well, then enjoy it, then, won't they? Fair play to them, and that's what you're into. I don't know. I'm very, very excited. I've already applied to try and go to this. They're doing a preview event next
me too.
month. So I've applied to go to that, and we'll, see how I get on. But I'm excited, and it'd be interesting to see how it gets taken up, like if people properly buy into it, or if it gets completely snubbed and brushed under the carpet, and B, what other ideas they've got in the future, and if they are in a position to expand it, how they're going to do that. I love Nintendo, and we've all got problems with them. We've all got these little narky things to say about how they go about things, but you can't imagine like Microsoft or Sony doing anything A, this creative, or B, getting away with it. Like if Sony had announced this, everyone would be like, they would not. Maybe that's not fair. Maybe it's not fair to say, well, if Sony had done it, it would have been shit. But that's how it feels like. I don't know. Nintendo feel like that playful, inspirational side of gaming. That not everyone needs to buy into. Like, I get it if you don't like their stuff, whatever. But it's good to have them there, you know what I mean? Coming out with all this weird shit. It's exciting.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. It was weird. It was a very weird week for me. I was literally showing some of my bosses at work. Like, you got to see this shit. It's weird. And they all come away with it just going, that looks fantastic. So it's got to be doing something. It's hitting the right notes.
This might be a dumb-ass question, but do you think because of the line of work you do, a lot of obviously...
No, I know what you're going to say.
I mean, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, but I imagine it's a lot of people sitting around very expensive-looking desks drawing flat plans of things in high detail, which is not dissimilar to what I see as this product. So do you think that's appealing?
It's more the design.
Yeah.
Like a lot of these people are artistic designers. I'm not, but a lot of these people they've got an artistic flair about them, and they love very intricate designs. And it could be anything. It could be anything from like a new design to a mobile phone. It could be like actually their line of work or whatever. The moment they saw that piano, they were like, holy shit, that's brilliant. And then when they saw them colouring pieces in and showing different bits of this house that were all coloured in by like just felt tip pen, they were like, I love that. That looks brilliant. Like that looks so good. My kid would love that. Yeah. That's exactly what you come away feeling when you watch that trailer. It's good. It's good, man. It's good. Much love, Nintendo. Much love. Right.
That's not the biggest news of the week.
Oh, Matt, he's added more stuff in.
News.
He's added more stuff in.
Well, James, sit back, mate. Let's see how it goes. Maybe you should review Matt's news section. Come on, right. Matt, let's go.
I mean, one of the most eagerly anticipated games, certainly for me. It's been announced today. Disc Driving 2 is coming on the 1st of February. Now, Disc Driving is a game many of you have played, or not. It's a game on iOS, where you basically flick a disc around a circuit, you can play multiplayer, and there are power-ups and whatnot. And, I mean, this is a game, easily my most played game on iOS. Possibly ever, who knows. I've literally played it. I've literally played multiple games of this, multiple moves or multiple games of this every single day since I had my first iPhone in like 2008 or 2007, whenever it was. And they've finally announced the sequel. I mean, you're in the league with me, Dave. Like, I play this every single day, multiple games on the go, as I said, and they finally announced the sequel. I'll be quick. One of the biggest changes they made for the second one is that now you can do 2 swipes instead of just 1. I believe that's so if your disc starts flying off the edge of the track, you can quickly rectify that and swipe back. Also now tracks have different levels of elevation, which looks great, and there's also loads of new power-ups and moves. I'm a bit saddened to read that there's a card system because it is 2018.
But I was just going to say, Matt, because it's free to play. I'm just wondering how much they're going to fleece you for, like over the next few years.
I mean, so the first one was free to. Yes, the first one you can play it and there's adverts, or you can pay £2 or whatever it was to get rid of the adverts. I mean, whatever I will pay, whatever I can pay, I will to support this game. Like the first one, I obviously paid the money to get rid of the adverts, but I also bought some of the, you could spend money on getting little different designs to the discs. I bought all of them just because I desperately wanted the developer to have some money, because I've played probably hundreds of hours of this game. It's ridiculous.
I'm sure like £7 when, like,
Look,
transform their
I had to do what I could, Dave. I literally bought everything I could in the app. If they released more, I would have bought more. But there is a single player mode in this game called Speedrun, where basically you have an unlimited number of swipes and you have to complete a certain amount of laps in a certain course in as little time as possible. I think you do that, you get points and you get new disabilities.
Matt,
whatever.
Look,
I'm psyched as fuck.
I like
February
your enthusiasm, and I was as excited as you were when I saw that news today. But I mean, you're talking about a game that not many people play, and you're going into way too much detail and spending far too much time on it. Do you know what I mean?
February 1st. Everyone listen to this. Do me a favour. Download Disc Driving 2. We're going to have a ball.
I'll download it, Matt.
Thanks, John.
Actually, can you play it across iOS and Android against each other? You probably can't, can you?
It's iOS only, boy.
Oh, well then, fuck off. Yes, on to the next bit.
Good shout, John. Let's get started with you this week. What have you been playing, man?
So again, I've been playing a few different bits. So I'll kick things off with Street Fighter V Arcade Edition. So
this is out now, is it?
This is out. It came out last week, both as a free download for people who have the base game Street Fighter V, and also as a retail version, or you can download the whole thing. If you do that, you buy the retail version, buy the standalone version, you get all of Season 1 and 2's characters. So you get like Guile, a bunch of others. Some people were confused because they thought that the free download for the base game also included all those characters. No, sir. No, far too much money to make there for Capcom, so that's not the case. What you do get for free is basically the arcade mode for the game, a bunch of tweaks to the actual engine, new V triggers as they're called, which is like sort of character specific, sort of not special moves, but just little things you can do with each character, little sort of power ups, and just a few little bits here and there. And it's the start of Season 3 for the game that's kind of crept and crawled itself into some sort of good state and relevancy. It's always been a high quality fighting game, the sort of baseline of it. But as you remember the launch, when it came out with bare bones, there's barely anything to it. The online didn't work properly, and then they started wanting to charge you for characters before they were adding all the modes. It was really a bit of a disaster, and I think that, plus the fact it was only on PlayStation and not on both consoles, really didn't do it any favours. But now here we have what should have been the game that came out in the first place. This is how Street Fighter V should have launched. As for the arcade modes themselves, I mean, it's crazy that they weren't in there before because it is just a series of fights. But what they've done here is they've sort of played on the kind of nostalgia thing with Street Fighter, which always goes down well with me anyway. And you can kind of play through Street Fighter, the original Street Fighter story, Street Fighter 2, 3, one of the alphas, and 4 and 5. And it's still just a series of fights. It gets to the point where you can choose one or the other. But, super simple, basic Street Fighter stuff. But it includes the characters from that game. So when you play Street Fighter 2, it's all like the characters from Street Fighter 2, Street Fighter 3, etc. And it has like the bonus stages and things from those. It's fan service. It's small. It's nothing particularly amazing. But you kind of go, oh, that's all right. But really, I was just happy to be playing the game properly. The online works now. I've been playing proper rank matches on a fight stick and really starting to get my head around a few of the characters, and just remembering how much I enjoyed Street Fighter 4. And as much as I'm already loving Street Fighter 5, and you can see how mechanically it's just a truly incredible game, I'll never have the moments that I had with 4, because with 4 I had a group of friends, and it's the same group, Dave, that we play with on the regular for everything, but they're Xbox people. And either when we met up in real life, when we did that, we'd spend the entire weekend playing Street Fighter 4 or Super Street Fighter 4. And online most weeks we just lobby it up. And I think you need that. I've heard stuff about like fighting games too complicated, fighting games are this and that. And yeah, they are. If you just look at them and see people talking about frame data and like text and command grabs and all this sort of stuff. Like, I mean, it's jargon to a lot of people, and a lot of it is to me as well, even as a fan of fighting games. But what I've always loved about fighting games, and we talked about this with ARMS the other week, James, is like, it's just all about like growing with somebody that you're playing against and kind of pushing each other and those mind games and that psychology, as well as the mechanics actually playing. And it's sad to me that I won't have that with Street Fighter 5, even though I'm enjoying playing online. And I know there's people that I can play with, people that we know listen to the show, or people I've interacted with online, and I will do that, but it's not the same as like your mates you've been playing video games with for 20 years, and you have all of that inbuilt in jokes and banter and rivalries and all that sort of stuff. And because it's not coming out on Xbox, it's probably just not going to happen, which is a shame. But I'll be playing Street Fighter 5 probably most weeks. I won't talk about it again unless something major happens. But is anybody? I mean, it's just not happening with you guys, is it? Street Fighter.
No, the most fun I've ever had with a fighting game was Virtua Fighter 4, and it was exactly as you said. It was, I had a friend that was playing just as much as I had, and every time we got up, we never used to play online, but whenever we met up, we'd both put in about the same amount of hours on it, and it was just like, oh my god, we are totally evenly matched, and it made the whole thing exciting because you'd spend all week training to fight your mate, and they'd be doing the same thing. So we were constantly like sort of, in the moment one of us sort of ran away with it, it kind of lost its magic a little bit. You know what I mean? Yeah, no, I've not really been into Street Fighter. I've not been into fighting games really for a long time. And one thing that was interesting, you're talking about how this game feels like it's, you know, it's how Street Fighter should have come out. And there was sort of misconceptions about this free version for people that have the base game and stuff. Does it feel like Capcom are taking the piss? And before you answer, it's like, from an outsider, this just seems like what Street Fighter's always done. It's bought out a version and then bought out a better version, and you've had to buy the game fresh every time. So for me, it just seems standard. But from stuff that I've heard on podcasts, some people seem to be turning their nose up to the fact that they have to buy this game again. Is that right? I
mean, you don't have to buy the game again, so it's kind of the opposite. So if you've been there since day one, and then you pay for the season pass for season 1 and season 2, so you wanted to get all the characters, or you grinded, I don't know, the in-game currency for to buy individual fighters, which is, you know, over time is perfectly possible. And then you were just pumped. You were pumped for Arcade Edition dropping because it's a free download. You're getting all these new V triggers, 1 per character, so they've all got 2 now you can choose between, which if you play the game is a big deal. Plus some other tweaks, some real nerdy stuff about like individual balancing tweaks and stuff like that. But again, you know, whatever game it is you're into, whether it's us playing Rainbow Six or whatever it is, when you're into a game, those patch notes mean something. So they were just pumped, plus the free arcade mode, plus there's a couple other little modes in there as well. So kind of the opposite. It was more that the slightly, I don't think Capcom were unhappy with the idea that people thought that they were getting all that stuff for free when they weren't. Basically, you know, the free download is that. They didn't really advertise it as anything other than that. It's just that people thought that meant that they were getting all the season 1 and 2 characters. Basically, they were getting 2 season passes for free.
Right, okay.
But if you do buy the game brand new, if you go out and buy Arcade Edition or download Arcade Edition as itself, you do get all that stuff. So you can see where people were confused, but compared to what it used to be like, you know, when we were kids, Champion Edition, Hyper Fighting, Super Street, all that sort of stuff, it's actually not as bad as that. It's a different way that they're making money from this game, assuming that they are, to be honest, because it's not been a huge seller. But the esports scene's rising. The game itself is quality. But I know what you mean, Dave. I hope I explained it reasonably well.
Well, by the sounds of it, what you said, it sounds like a glorified update that you can get for free, but also comes with sort of a Game of the Year version of it with all the DLC packs in.
Basically,
is that right?
Basically,
right. Okay, so that's not bad. Yeah. That sounds pretty good to me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Anyone else?
I mean, I'm not going to get it, but I'm glad it feels like it's having a bit of a resurgence.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a big year for Street Fighter 5. I think, it's going to, in terms of esports, because that's really where that genre is going. You know,
see, I'm a bit like you, David. I mean, I sort of bounced off fighting games really a while ago because, I mean, when I was growing up, I really sort of loved playing Street Fighter 2, like with friends. You know, we just used to play it after school all the time. And when I got a bit older, I had a friend I used to play Tekken with all the time. And we got to that stage where we were like both of us about as good as each other. And it felt like the fights started to feel like they were kind of like choreographed and everything. And it was really fun. But then it was when everything started to become more technical, and then you start to see online people talking about like counting frames and stuff like that. I kind of lost interest really with that because it didn't really feel to me what the fighting game was about. It felt that it was too technical for me at that point, and I've never really got back into it which is a shame.
Yeah, I always find there's a real lack of sort of conversation and chat, and I suppose there's not actually that much you can talk about. But that middle ground, I exist in the middle ground. Like I can hold my own. I can play these games, especially Street Fighter 4. I was decent. I was okay, and I'll get like that on 5 again. But when it comes to the counting frames and stuff, it's never going to be my personality as much as anything else. It doesn't matter what it is that I'm into. I'm never going to get into that sort of microscopic detail on anything. My brain just switches off. But I think it is alienating now, because it's now the second a fighting game's announced, the whole conversation is about the minutiae of the mechanics, and it is totally alienating. But almost all of these games, whether it's Tekken 6 or Injustice or Street Fighter 5, or I'm sure Dragon Ball FighterZ, which is out this week, you know, you will just have that experience with friends if you have that opportunity to play with them.
But that's the problem, because that's the problem, because I mean, when I was younger, obviously you've got people around you all the time. You can do that, but now it's not. So I mean, the thing is, I bought Street Fighter 4 like when it came out, because I kind of got seduced by the idea that it could be like that again, and I just found like going online just really frustrating, because it just wasn't fun. I was just getting destroyed like from the outset, and you're just like, yeah, this is not really for me anymore.
Sadly now James is Billy No Mates, and he's got no one to play with.
That's very true.
Poor James. Yeah, I know, and I know what you're saying by saying it's alienating, but also there are going to be people that will be appealed to that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely,
which is fine. Yeah,
all power to it.
Yeah, so it's not like it's completely closed off. It's just taking a certain type of gamer to crack into, right?
Yeah, and it's not even they're not. I don't think they're being particularly elitist about it or not wanting other people to play. Quite the opposite. I think they want the community to grow. It's just that's the natural way that conversation goes. Typically, all the people who are reviewing those games now, they're getting picked because of their ability and their knowledge, and so they're speaking to that audience again. And it's just the way the conversation's gone. So it's only alienating because people are seeing that and going, oh, God, no, I don't get fighting games. It's too much. But in actual fact, to get to the level where you're understanding that stuff doesn't actually take that long if you're into it. And you get in, if you are in a position where you are playing with people. And of course, you can set up online lobbies. It's not like the olden days where you had to be at uni or school or whatever. But I'm kind of just running myself in circles here. But it's just something it's just the way the genre's gone the last 6-7 years. But they're still fucking fun. Most of these games are fucking fun if you're just playing them with mates.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, cool.
Super quick one. I put on Forza Horizon 3 because they dropped the 4K update. They dropped it literally just before the show. We recorded the show last week, and I didn't get it in time to speak about it last week. So yeah, grabbed it. Obviously, just looks absolutely phenomenal. I mean, it was an amazing looking game anyway. And this just takes it to another level entirely. The detail, the quality, the clarity. We were talking before about how Nintendo sidesteps everything and they do this amazing stuff. But, we're also reiterating the fact that we still love this shit as well.
Absolutely.
And I'm a sucker for this stuff, especially when it's coupled with a game like Forza Horizon 3, which I actually realised I barely touched. I played a ton of 2. Yeah. And I don't know why. As I had 3 as a download for ages, but I thought I'd played a load, and I played the beta or the demo, whatever it was, a lot, and I realised I hadn't actually played the final game barely at all. So I've been sort of slowly plodding through that. Both the boys love watching it and having a go. Well, Elliot likes playing it as well. So that'll be something that will just live on there, and I'll go back to all the time. And it's definitely one of those games. If someone does come round, you just like look at this shit, and it just looks fucking ridiculous because it looked amazing anyway. But nothing new about the game, but good job.
Fully completed that game. Fully completed
I've seen your Drivatar flying around with a ridiculous level. I'm like level 8 or something, and your guy's flying around at whatever it is.
Yeah, what was I going to say? So how does it compare to the Motorsport game then? Is it comparable? or because obviously they designed the latest Forza game with 4K and HDR in mind. How does this compare to that?
It compares very, very, very well. I would say Motorsport is probably just a slight level up in terms of detail, a slight level up in terms of HDR wonder, but obviously it's not open world. And this is just almost as gorgeous, imperceptibly so, but obviously in that open world. I know some people were upset that it wasn't 4K 60, it's 4K 30. And there's no 1080p 60 option, but I mean, if you've played Forza Horizon 3, it still feels like Forza Horizon 3. That game is smooth at 30, it feels nice at 30, so I don't think there's any real issue there.
Is Forza Horizon 3 30 as it is, like on Xbox. I had no idea that was the case. I wouldn't have noticed that. I wouldn't have known that.
They do a lot of clever stuff with like motion blur and things to make it seem like it's running at higher frame rate, I think. But yeah, it's amazing. It really is. It's amazing work and that machine's a little beast.
That's genuinely a game. Believe it or not, that game would probably convince me to get an Xbox One X. I mean, I want one anyway, but if I had the money and I saw that game running in 4K, man, it would be hard to like sort of not just spend money that I haven't got on it. I really, really love Forza Horizon, and I've got the Hot Wheels stuff for it and everything. So it'd be
I
great
reckon I'm
to see
going to
what
end up with that
like.
because the little one is really into all that sort of stuff.
It's very, very good. It's hard though, so if they like playing it,
he's too young to play it too, but he just likes cars and shit. So I'll probably end up with that.
Yeah.
But anyway, I don't want to get too dadcast on it. Let's move on to let's move on. I've been picking up a few little odds and sods on the Switch recently. I talked about Brawl Out either last week or the week before. I've actually grabbed 3 indie games on Switch since then. I grabbed Darkest Dungeon, which I've barely touched. I might get to talk about that soon. Oxenfree, which was down to like £3 just randomly on a store, and I'd heard good things, so I bought that. I haven't played it yet. And then Enter the Gungeon. Have you guys, anybody played this?
No, I've heard about it though.
Yeah, so it's a roguelike sort of top-down 2D shooter, and I'd heard it was good, and just never really. There's so many twin-stick shooters, it's like, why am I going to play another one? And then I saw someone saying this is basically just like a much better playing version of Binding of Isaac. Have you guys ever got into Binding of Isaac?
Oh God, I've played it, and I could not get properly into it. I don't know what it was. I think maybe it was the fact that is it 8-directional in that game?
Yeah, so that's the downside of Binding. Yeah, it's sort of it's 4-directional. Maybe? Yeah,
wasn't it just left, right, up and down?
Yeah, I mean, it's super basic, but the thing that's amazing about that game is like the roguelike elements and the way you create it. Every time you go through, your little Isaac is basically a different build every time. And this has that basically, with the level layouts are the same. You're sort of going down floor by floor, and you want to clear out the floor, find all the treasure on that floor, the secrets and stuff like that, and then battle the boss, go down to the next level. But it doesn't quite have the Isaac stuff of like, when you get all the new abilities and gear and random stuff that you'd find in a level on that, it would change what he looked like massively. And it doesn't have that, which is a shame. But it does have amazing, huge selection of guns that all do sorts of weird shit, weird little power-ups that you don't know what they were. It has that stuff that roguelikes do, the best roguelikes do well, like Spelunky and Isaac, where it's like weird shit will just happen in some runs. You'll just stumble across some room that just you've never seen before and has never been in any other run, and you have no idea what it's there for, so you want to go online and work out what it is. But fundamentally, the shooting and the gameplay and it's proper twin stick movement. There's a dodge roll in it, which gives you invincibility frames, so you can dodge through the bullets. It's a bit more like bullet hell. In fact, the studio is called Dodge Roll, so that's clearly a major part of the game. And it's just a way nicer feeling shooter than Isaac. It doesn't quite have its personality, but it does a good job in that respect. And I did some travelling this week, just going back home to Guernsey, trains and planes, etc. And all of my journeys just disappeared playing this. Really, really good. I think it's like £12. If you like Binding of Isaac, definitely get involved.
How's a twin stick shooter on those little sticks?
It's not great. I've got a longer journey coming up soon, and I'm gonna bring the little stand and the Pro Controller to play it. I think because it's okay, but it could be better. Your thumbs do get a bit slippy after a while. It doesn't quite have the sort of length on the sticks, does it? But really cool game. I can see why people have raved about it for a while.
Cool.
And then, someone's written Silly Buggers down on my list. I think I had #Raft on there before, but, obviously that one's not taken up because none of you guys have played as much as me again. But, whatever. My final game is Wolfenstein 2. Oh, I've just banged my mic. Sorry, everybody. Is Wolfenstein 2 the new Colossus. So I get a bit excited, I'm like, which I finished this week.
Awesome.
I said I'd do it, and I did it. I talked last week about how I was really impressed, as everybody has. I was really impressed by the cutscenes and story and the narrative and the dialogue and all the stuff, and way less so by the levels and the actual sort of design of each level and the gunplay and all that sort of stuff. And it's the narrative that surrounded the game. Everybody seems to be saying the same sort of thing. I must say that playing it on easy, the action did pick up. I still kind of feel like that has obviously taken second place to everything else in the game. It's clear. But just as a kind of romp, I barely died. I barely had any trouble. I did start to enjoy it because the levels were short and sharp. And at a certain point in the game, you basically had some abilities to your BJ Blazkowicz. And I won't go into any more details in that, but that really helped improve the game as well for me. But my good God, I mean, have you finished this, Dave?
No,
okay.
I went to play it last night and I just wasn't in the mood for it. Turns out that I just wasn't. So basically, I went back to it, and this was late on Friday, and I absolutely fell in love with it. Like I've put off playing it for a long time, for about a month really, and I slang it in, and like you, started really enjoying the combat. Not properly enjoying it like I enjoy a good shooter. It doesn't. I've never got to that point, but I guess not minding it and having a few fun moments. And a large point of that is that it wasn't frustrating because I had it down on easy, and I was starting to get used to the guns, like the one with the sniper, the sort of the scope on it. I sort of realised that I don't have to look down iron sights all the time. Actually, using it, like firing from the hip, is a very viable option in that game. And then all of a sudden, I started getting really into it. Not only that, like I suppose we could talk about where I'm up to. I've just done the whole nuke section. Which isn't giving away too much, hopefully, because it's been out a few months now. That was brilliant from start to finish. The fighting, the cutscenes, everything during that bit was really, really exciting. And then the stuff that comes after it is just batshit mental, but funny. Like, it's as
really
people have
funny.
said before, I think James, you were saying, it's really weird how it goes from very serious issues to very, like just really good comedy, just straight out good comedy. And giving you a new ability halfway through and making you choose between three of them, I thought was a really good shout. I'm not totally made up with the ability that I've chosen. I chose the stilts one, and it kind of feels, I don't know, it feels that I should have chosen another one. Like it wasn't properly put together. There are bits with the stilts, it lets you expand your legs and get up onto higher levels, but sometimes you'll see a ledge, expand your legs and go to get up there, but I guess it's slightly too high from where the game thinks that you should be to get up there, and it's kind of like a bit, it doesn't feel as fluid as it needs to be. Whereas you got the running through walls one, right?
Run
John?
through walls and run through people.
That's the one I chose as well.
Yeah,
that's what I should have chosen. I should have chosen that, because you can
made
see
the game
exactly
so
where
much
you can go
better
through that.
to me.
I was just smashing through enemies towards the end.
Yeah. And my God, Dave, like Matt and James will already know this. Everybody who's played the game will already know this. But the places this game goes, and everybody's talked about it already. So many people have talked about it already. But my good God, I was not expecting some of the places this go. Like, I've done a great job of avoiding spoilers, avoiding scenes, and I'm not about to spoil stuff for anybody here that's going to spend time with this game and play through it. But like Jens Mattis is a guy who was the art director on Riddick and ended up being like the director on The Darkness, and then obviously he's headed up both of these games. And this guy the way they balance, like you say, the serious issues, the comedy, the insanity, the tone that's all over the place but remains consistent. He's like an amazing filmmaker making video games. I mean, like it's incredible. I think some of the stuff, like the places this game goes, and still manages to feel serious and feel poignant and moving and like exciting and thrilling at times. Just incredible at times. There's one scene which just unbelievable to me. I mean,
have I seen that?
No,
scene?
you haven't.
No.
Right. Okay. Good.
And at the end it's so well done. It's so well realised.
Yeah, didn't you find that really satisfying, John? The ending.
Oh God,
it was.
I was basically, once I got that ability to just run through people, the game started to feel a bit more like Doom than it had done before, and I just turned it into just basically a slaughter fest. And so the levels themselves became fine. Every time the cutscene ended and the level started, I still was a bit like, all right, we can get through this. And then, but when the story, I mean, Jesus Christ, there's a reason that we slagged off Giant Bomb's end of the year stuff, and rightly so, I think, but there's a reason they had Wolfenstein Moment of the Year separated from their Moment of the Year, and they spent an hour talking about it because
so many
it's just
bits.
Insane.
How do you think this compares?
Yeah, I'm actually
to the
quite looking
one,
for.
John?
That's the one bit that I'm quite looking forward to going back to on the Giant Bomb Game of the Year stuff, because obviously I skipped that. I didn't want it spoiled, but I'm looking forward to going back and hearing those bits.
I went back. It's enjoyable to listen to.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
What were you saying there, Matt?
How do you think this one? How do you think this compares to New? Is it New Order or New Blood?
I think that's a better shooter than the New Order. I think that's the level design is better. It's more expansive. It still suffers from a lot of the same problems, like with the struggling to realize you're getting hit. It's like the stealth stuff's a bit all over the place, but the story stuff in Wolfenstein 2 is just another level. It's gone to another level. It's amazing in New Order. It was kind of almost like a revelation at the time because nobody was expecting it, and that way of like editing cutscenes and so having something so kinetic and dynamic hadn't really been seen before. And like you say, nobody was expecting anything, even off the game, I don't think. But now this is just another level entirely. Where they go if they get the chance to do a third one, I have no idea. But I have faith that those guys have got it already all planned out. They've got their big story beats and their big moments already planned out, I reckon. So I just really hope they do get the opportunity to finish this thing off.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they do. I mean, I haven't played that one, but do you think it'd be worth going back to, given I didn't really like the gunplay and whatnot in this most recent one?
I would say to most people, yes, but realistically, you and I both know you will never do this. But at the same time,
absolutely true.
Don't know why I bothered
it's
asking.
it's often £3 on the PlayStation Store, and again, bash it down too easy, and there's a ton of great story in there, and it does give obviously a good backstory to what you've seen.
Because I played quite a bit of the first one, and I just feel that the story stuff, it lacked the wow moments of this one, to be honest.
It's not on the same level. But there's still some fucking moments in it.
It's true, but it's also more well structured, I think, like in terms of like actual gameplay was more interesting in the first one, I think.
It is, yeah.
So I'm looking forward to finishing that game off. I mean, I don't want to spoil anything, so I'll keep it. I won't go into the details. But that whole farmhouse bit was fantastic in terms of the story as well, and then what happens during. There's a bit of gameplay towards the end there, and it was incredible what was going on screen. Like absolutely incredible.
Yeah, that bit is pretty impressive.
I'm bang up for it. The only problem was I turned it on last night at about 11 o'clock. And it was a big shooty bit, and I just thought, okay, right, I'm going to play Rocket League for a bit. I think I need to be in the mindset to jump back in. Otherwise, it's not very. It's not something you could just pick up and play for a bit. Definitely on Friday. I mean, I played it for about 3 hours straight, 3 or 4 hours straight, and I was just like, I'm loving every minute of this. This is so
that's probably
good.
the way to do the rest of it now. Either one or two more sittings, and then it will get to a point as well. If you're like me, where you're like, great, we're in this till the end now. I don't care. I've got to see this thing through.
Oh god, yeah. I tend to do that especially with shooters. Actually, I used to do that with Call of Duty all the time. Like I used to go, right, okay, I'm heading towards the end now. That's it. I'm not getting up until it's done. Okay, cool. Anything else?
That's me, man.
Was that it? Okay, well, I'll mention the other game that I've been playing this week. I've been playing The Vanishing of Ethan Carter, which is, I looked it up, it's 3 years old now, that game. It came out in 2015 on
I really want to play it. One, I heard it was amazing, but also this week they've announced, it's already out actually, but they've announced like a 4K Xbox version and stuff, and I saw it was like £16 on the store, but I've been looking at this for a while actually.
Well, the first thing that grabbed me was, I mean, it does look incredible. Visually it looks fantastic. It also highlighted that, I read that this was a walking simulator, and it, in ways it is, but I think it asks a lot more of the player than, say, Gone Home did, or even Firewatch does, Firewatch was very much, here's a tunnel, walk down it, and make choices every now and then. And same with Gone Home, but even without the choices, you were just reading stuff. This, I mean, there are some good sides to it. So for the majority of the game, or the main hook of the game, is that you'll come across a murder, and then you'll come across clues, and you piece those clues together, then you get to the next stage, which is seeing little snapshots of their memory, and then trying to piece together the memory in order, and then it plays out a scene, so you see how that person got murdered, right? So there's a bit of puzzle element in there. I mean, it's not too taxing. You won't be like scratching your head and going, "Whoa, how does this work?" You literally just keep trying putting these things in order, and if it doesn't work, you just try and swap the numbers a little bit, and then seeing if you've got it in the right order. So it's pretty straightforward, is what I'm saying. The crazy thing is, I did not expect it to be so reliant on exploration, because walking simulators are not really like that. They tend to let you off the leash a little bit but for the most part, you're walking down a tunnel, or you're walking across a path, and you're naturally finding stories. The first time I had to restart this game, because after about 30 minutes of play, I'd already got towards the end of it without knowing. I was already in this like village bit, and I was walking in and out of houses and going, "Oh, there's weird stuff happening over there. I wonder what that does later." And then I thought, I don't really know what I'm supposed to be doing. I've been walking for ages, and so I've said, okay, let me just bring up a guide to see, when the actual game starts. And I was like, no. Well, I've seen that, but nothing's happened. And it turns out I was like, I would say halfway through the game in about half an hour. So I had to stop, restart, and actually readjust the way I was playing it, because I'd walked past about 7 or 8 murder scenes without even noticing. At one point I'd walk past a body and went, "Oh, there's a body down there. Okay, let's continue." I hadn't seen that there were clues everywhere, and I had to piece them together. So then I started. Yeah, I got totally gripped, because I don't know. There's a bit of mystery. It does some really interesting visual stuff throughout as well that I've not really seen in other games. And it's got this. Initially, it feels like a pure horror game, but it sort of turns into a thriller. But I had to stop playing. I will go back to it and finish it, but I had to stop playing because I got to a point where it does go full horror out of nowhere, and I was like, "Whoa, I am not prepared for this. I need to know that what I'm letting myself in." Did you? Because you played this, haven't you, John?
I played about 40 minutes of it, but I'd be lying if I said I remembered anything of it. To be honest,
okay.
So when it came out, I played a bit of it.
So there's this whole minecart bit, and it just goes real fucking dark really quickly, and not in a atmospheric way as such. It feels like it goes, "Okay, you're playing Amnesia now," and I'm like, "What? Whoa, hold on! I ain't prepared for. I didn't pay him for this, so I'm going to turn this off for a little bit." But I can't say I haven't thought about it since I turned off, because there are characters in the game that I'm interested to find out what happens, and there's a whole mystery surrounding what's going on in this village. Because the basic idea is you've turned up in a village following receiving letters from Ethan Carter, who's obviously gone missing, and then as you're trying to find them, you come across various different murders that have happened in this village, and you're piecing together what had happened. It's far better than I thought it would be, because the first time I loaded it up and started walking about, I thought this stinks of Everybody's Gone to the Rapture, which I really didn't get on with at all. But it's not that. The only thing it suffers from slightly is there are long periods of time where you're trying to look for the last thing that you need to look for. And because it's quite open, it's a bit of an open world, and it's quite, you don't know where each scene starts and where it ends. You can get lost and overlook stuff constantly. And if you do want to piece a whole scene together, it can take a lot longer than it needs to, really. It's like, I get it, I'm looking for clues, but don't hide them out into the forest over there, because then I've got to walk for ages, and then like I'm constantly questioning whether I'm walking out of the sort of play space that I'm supposed to be in. But other than that, I mean, if you like walking simulators, then which is a shit phrase, and everyone says it when they says it, but you know what I mean. This asks more from you as a player, but it never stumbles into like proper gaming territory. It is still very much telling you a narrative. I think you'll really like it.
In terms of like. Because a lot of my favourite walking simulators, like Edith Finch and Gone Home games like that, they have an emotional punch. Does this have that, or is it more of a mystery?
If it has it, I haven't really felt the punch of it yet. I mean, it's leading towards something, and and I'm definitely invested in the characters. but I've got a feeling they're holding that back to the end. And there are, things that happen in it that are kind of like, oh man, that sucks, but that's about it. I want to see if it pays off well enough before I answer that question, because I don't really know.
I do definitely want to play this.
I would sit. I mean, give it a go if you like to Gone Home and stuff. There's no reason why you would absolutely hate this. I don't think. I don't personally. I don't think it's up there with Gone Home from what I've played so far. But Gone Home I hold in very, very high regard anyway. So see that for what it is. I'm not saying it's a bad game at all. I've really enjoyed what I've played. So that's that. That's what I've been playing. Let's go to James. James, what have you been playing?
I haven't played a huge amount this week.
Why?
Because I've been busy. I bought a PS4 Pro though this week, which was nice.
Oh shit! 4K.
Yeah, I sold a bunch of stuff and bought one, and but it's...
How many copies of FIFA 18?
I was just about to make the same joke.
It's funny, I was going to get the FIFA 18 pack, and that's just so that I could have like 2 copies of the game and just be like, I don't know how this happened, and just end up with 2, but yeah, I didn't. In the end, I got the Glacier White one, because I fancied a change. And
they sell them separately now, right?
They do, yeah. And
right. So what made you go for the white one over the black one? Different.
I think it's just because I wanted something different. I mean, Chen said I did it just so that I convinced myself that it was worth it, that it was something different under the TV.
Yeah, it's true. There's part of that. When I bought mine, I was kind of like, well, it's not just a black one, is it? When I look down at the pad, I go, oh yeah, I am playing on a PS4 Pro. It's not just my normal PS4 anymore. Go on, what do you make of it? You like it?
It's pretty good, yeah. I mean, I'll tell you one thing I was a bit confused about is I wasn't aware of how confusing the whole sort of 4K thing is on PlayStation, on the PS4 Pro. It's like, like how you have like boost mode, some games support like HDR, some don't, and it just seems it's more of a mess than I was expecting it to be. Has that improved at all recently, or is it always been like that?
No, I mean, there's a lot of different factors into it as well, isn't there? There's like the TV. Some TVs make you force it to do 4K. Like my TV's definitely like that. You have to go into the HDMI settings for that particular port and say, look, this is Ultra HD. I want you to treat it like as Ultra HD. And there's all sorts of weird settings with HDR as well, isn't there, John?
Yeah, most TVs you have to go in and enable HDR into each HDMI port. Sorry, lots of HDs. So yeah, a lot of people might have HDR TVs and not have them turned on. It's like when people used to have Xbox 360s and they'd have HD TVs, but they'd plug it into the wrong thing. They'd use an old SCART port.
They'd plug it with 3 pins.
Yeah, exactly. And they were running it in like 360p or whatever when it could be 720. But what can you do?
Yeah, that'll get better, obviously, but
yeah, I mean, one of the reasons I wanted to get one was also for PlayStation VR, and I do genuinely think it has made a difference to that. Things feel a lot less blurry in a lot of the games that I've played, and I do think it has made a difference.
Yeah, it definitely does.
But also, FIFA 18 does look amazing in 4K with HDR, so I'm pretty happy with that. But apart from that, the only other 2 things I've played this week, I played ARMS over the weekend because they had that, what's it called? They had a party crash. Have you done one of these, John?
Yeah, I did the first one a little bit with Elliot, but not that much. I still didn't really understand what was happening, to be honest.
It's kind of great because basically it follows the same kind of system whereby, like when you connect, you kind of like join a party with loads of other people, and then you have like the rotating selection of game types and that kind of thing. So, the one-on-one fighting, basketball, volleyball and stuff. But then what they do is every hour there's like a bonus period where there's these new rules that they add in. Like you have like 1-hit kills, or there's like double experience points and stuff like that. And also if you pick certain characters and different types of arms, you get like an extra bonus with that.
Okay.
So the whole point is that you're supposed to sort of like level up like over the weekend, and then the score that you get is then multiplied by 50, and then you just get like a load of cash, so you can buy new arms combinations. Is kind of how it works.
All right.
Which is kind of it's kind of addictive, because one of the things that I really love about this online is like the length of the matches, because they are like they're over pretty quickly. Like, you get in, you do your business, and then you sort of it's over. And I really like that. It's with,
you do your business. Sorry, that sort of threw me for a second.
I thought it might, but it's like. No, because it's like, like when you play stuff like Splatoon, like you get in there and you do have to sort of, it's more of a time investment, whereas with this over the weekend, it just felt perfect for like when I had like a few minutes, like, when the kids were doing whatever, I could just switch it on and play a couple of rounds, and it's...
Yeah, I do like Splatoon 2, but it takes a lot longer to do your business, and so I'm just less bothered about it.
But yeah, so, I don't know, that's what I think is one of the strengths of it, but it's just... The combat I really enjoy in this, and it's the timing of the punches. You know how you can like throw people off by like just like throwing a punch like a fraction of a second like later than you were going to, and then and it connects, and it's just so it's a lot of fun. And so the Party Crash weekend was fantastic. It was have you actually explained, and I've blanked out, what is Party Crash? Well, as I said, this is where they have like an event, which, I mean, this one was over the whole weekend, and it's basically a means by which you can get more cash to buy more of the
so it's just like currency. A double XP thing, kind of,
yeah. But with extra sort of things whereby you, as I said, you choose specific characters and stuff like that, and makes it a bit So one of the things that's kind of nice about that is it forces you to try other characters that maybe you wouldn't bother with before, and then you get to learn how those. So
you pitches two of the characters against each other, right? And then you pick one of the teams, and then you represent that one.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's right. Is it?
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah,
thank you, John. That makes more sense.
Then at the end, you get like a sort of an overview of which character won. It's but you don't have to choose those characters. You can, but you do get like bonuses if you do.
Can you switch between them then? Yes. Like it's not like you're locked in with Splatoon.
No, you can switch around and kind of do what you want. It's
cool.
But yeah, really great. The only other thing I've played is I started playing Resident Evil 7. In VR, and
oh god, yeah, you told us about this. John, was that in the chat with us? Is this the first you've heard about this?
I knew James had been playing in VR because we spoke about it just before he came online very briefly before the show started.
This is fascinating, like what James was telling me. Go on.
Yeah, you see, the thing is we played this up in Leeds. And you remember we played like the demo and stuff when you were around.
The demo's not actually in the game. It's something different.
Yeah, it was the kitchen, wasn't it? The kitchen demo.
Yeah,
and
that's just a sitting down experience, really.
Yeah, and it's like you're sitting there, and I felt nothing from that at all. Like, no fear, nothing. It was... Yeah, it's also partly because of the environment. You're around with other people, so you don't really feel the tension or whatever.
Dave's arse was out,
It was, yeah.
It wasn't really conducive. Well, it was quite scary, actually. But...
The arse, yeah. It's
a nice arse.
Oh, let's all at least start with him. So...
So yeah, so I bought this because it was on sale, and I've always enjoyed the Resident Evil games, but I've never been scared by a game before. I'll be honest. I remember when I went to your place, Dave, and we played PT, like that was the kind of thing that I think I would have found unsettling if I'd have played more of it. But most like Resident Evil games, I've never really found really that scary at all because it's always a bit kind of over the top. But this game in VR has been horrendous for me, and it's not what I was expecting, because it's not really so much the tension, because like you're in these sort of like an old house and you've got like the creaking floorboards and that, and you can hear all the sort of like the monster closet kind of thing. You know what's going to happen, so the whole time I was kind of like preparing myself for things to happen and trying to sort you're trying to sort of like laugh it off. It's like, it's fine, I know it's all going to be fine, but then there's certain bits in this which really, really scared me. Like, really made me feel tension that I've not felt playing a game, I don't think, ever. And at one point, like, my chest just felt tight and hurt. Like, I felt real physical pain from playing this. And it was a real rush, but also horrendous. And I don't know, it's just the first time I've genuinely felt fear from a game.
So what does it do different to... because you've tried horror stuff in VR before. What does Resident Evil 7 do that stuff didn't?
I think partly it's because it does the jump scares, but it does them very effectively. Like sort of going from pitch black. But the main thing is with the VR, it's the way that things get up in your face, and it's the way things can appear like just out of your line of sight and things like that, which you can't get from playing it on a TV. And that's what really adds to it. But the thing that really upset me the most is the way that when you get attacked, like, I felt like I was going to get hurt. Like, I know, and it's ridiculous because it's a game, and I know it's a game, but your brain is still telling you, like, was still telling me that, you know, a chainsaw is coming towards you, and you kind of like, they, especially part of it is the movement, like the movement of the characters that you're sort of interacting with. They move so sort of unnaturally and also very quickly sometimes that it's just a shock, and you just, like, your natural reaction in VR is to like pull back, and then you just, you know, you feel it's going to hit you, and it's, I don't know, I've never felt this immersed and like by playing a VR game before, and felt so sort of sick, really. I mean, it was, as I said, it's a rush, horrendous, but a rush, and I do want to get back to it and play some more. I mean,
I will never understand that mentality. Like, I'll freely admit that I'm a complete wuss when it comes to computer games, and that idea of I can't wait to get back and get scared again. I don't like being scared. It feels horrible.
Yeah, no, but it's giving. I don't know. It's just giving me a feeling, and it's like
what?
It's you get like a feeling
sexual
from this.
healing.
No, it's a feeling.
Such a good feeling.
Yeah. No, you get... Okay, let me give you an example. I mean, a long time ago, Halo, I used to get similar feelings from when I first played that. Like, you know, the feeling of adrenaline that you get from when that first came out, of like, you know, fighting elites and stuff like that. And there was a real feeling of sort of adrenaline, like real like feeling of that. And
but it's not like fucking fear.
No, but it's still a strong physical like reaction to this, which I've not had, as I said, for a very long time. And this is the first time, like, for a long time that I've had, like, a real physical reaction.
I've been dead inside. I'm just happy that I can feel feelings again, even if it is being petrified.
Yeah. No, because it's like, when you play it on a TV, there's, like, that layer of like, abstraction. You know, you can see it's not, you know, real whatever. But when, in VR, it's just a whole other, like, kettle of fish. It's just...
Yeah, it's that, but it's also, like, the 3D sound, and... Yeah, it's just, as grimy as it looks sometimes, it's so effective.
Yeah, and so it's very, very interesting, and I as I said, I want to go back to it, but it is horrendous.
Well, you are fucking sick in the head, and I reckon that's what it is.
I just want to, Dave. I just want to feel something. I just want to, even if it's pain, I just want to feel it.
I mean, I'm so shit with scary movies, with horror games, but even when I struggled to get through the opening hour demo, whatever, of this game, it was definitely a rush to feel scared. I just didn't like the rush, but it definitely was a rush. I mean, I've loved all the previous Resident Evil games, so I'm a bit gutted that this, for me, feels a bit too intense for me to realistically play it.
You can play it. You can play it on,
why don't you play it normally?
Well, yeah, but there's no point. If I'm
He's already sold it.
Oh, yeah,
I've bought and sold it since I started this conversation. How do I see it? Yeah, I mean, if you're going to play it, you have to do VR. I'm not going to do like the 2D version. What's the point?
Oh,
see,
God,
4K,
Matt is such a cunt.
You can't be the big man about it when you won't play it at all, Matt. I mean, I couldn't handle the VR anymore after not much further than sounds like where you are, James. It got to the point where it was like, I stopped, and I loved what I played, and I thought there was just no way I was putting it back on. I just couldn't face doing it. So I played the 2D version, the rest of it, man, and I'm now able to talk about the rest of the game with knowledge. But you know, it's probably better your way.
And possibly nominate it for Game of the Year. Yeah. I'll get you.
Well, it is from the previous year, so it would fit in Matt's list.
I think we should do it this year. We should have like a favourite game from last year.
I don't think we should, Matt.
No. Actually,
who's voting for Matt? Who's voting for Dave?
Did you guys see that Nintendo announced their like most downloaded games of the year, and Stardew was at the top? Now, the Switch came out in 2017, right?
Yeah,
it did. Yeah, but like Mario and Zelda weren't even in the top like 10.
What are you talking about?
Well, Nintendo this week, last couple of days, they announced their most downloaded titles from the store. And Stardew Valley was from 2017, sorry, and Stardew was number one. But Mario and Zelda weren't even in the list, which I'm confused
Well, I'm guessing
about.
because they're trying to flog it for fucking 60 quid.
But
like, will you get it anywhere else for about 40 quid
for those games?
Huh?
I still would have assumed there would be loads of downloads of Mario and
there's either
Zelda.
two things, right? Either A, right, it's because they, fucking 60 quid to download from their store, or B, you've completely misread the article. I'm leaning towards B.
It most downloaded games of 2017. Anyway, whatever. Stardew.
I'm leaning towards B, John. I'm
leaning towards B that he's misread it.
Yeah.
No, because I've read it as well. It is
Oh,
correct.
right, okay. All right, so
sorry,
A
I
then.
my mic again. Sorry, everybody. But yeah, no, it's a weird one. I know what you mean, Matt. But yeah, you've got to assume that it is the fact that Stardew's what? How much is Stardew? 15?
Yeah, it's like 15 quid or something.
Yeah, I was actually surprised that it was number one though. I thought it would be be something else, but because it's not been out that long. But people love that shit.
I can't wait to get back to it. Actually, this week I think I might start again this week, or continue this week.
Oh, weren't you travelling this week, Matt?
Yeah, I was too drunk and or hungover to do anything on those flights.
Oh, fair enough.
Matt,
yes,
you've been playing Life is Strange.
I've not played a game since before the last podcast. But
you've got Life is Strange written down.
Yeah,
so
that wasn't there a minute ago.
So
it was what I wrote.
Lied again here, Matt. Is this another
Game of the Year from 2016? What you've been playing from last week? What is going on?
No, I got an hour in. I played an hour of Life is Strange before we started podcasting. So,
right. Did you like it?
Yeah, I really liked it.
Good. Also, questions.
I know you said like the first one isn't as good as the second, and
it's still really good.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying it, and I think you said about the same about the series 1 and 2. Episode 1 wasn't that good, but I really enjoyed it. I found it interesting. Like there's a conversation between two of the characters where I think Chloe's talking to Rachel or one of the other characters, and Rachel says Hella, and I think Chloe questioned it, and obviously, we know that's one of her common phrases in the first series. So even like those little bits, I've really enjoyed just trying to see where the origins of how these characters act.
What it said about episode 1 was that the intro bit to that was pretty terrible. When you're trying to argue your way into the rock concert, it's pretty poor. But from then on, it starts getting really good.
Yeah. I'm on the train now, so just got off the train. So
oh god, that train bit is so good. It's so good. I loved it.
It's really well done.
Yeah, I mean, and again, I've said it a billion times, but so many people could point and laugh at that and go, "What? You like that? Well, you fucking dick!" But I loved it. And James, you liked it as well, didn't you?
I did, yeah. I thought it was great.
Yeah, it was a great scene.
I'm also definitely playing it a little bit differently, Dave. Much like you said last time, where you weren't like playing as yourself, you were playing as the character, and I've started doing that now because ordinarily I would just play as myself, but then you end up with just a pretty boring twat of a character. So I've started being like what I think how Chloe would react in those situations, and it seems better already.
If you were projecting yourself onto it, it'd just be like, how would I react in this situation? Post a meme on Twitter. That's not an option, Matt. Just post a meme on Twitter. No, Rachel doesn't have Twitter, I'm afraid. Just post it on Twitter. Okay, right.
Finished.
Cool. Hopefully you can have more to say about it next week.
I still love that game.
Down in Blighters. Down in Blighters. Yeah, I cannot believe that you fell for the forward and beefing again. Like, I mean, that's 3 or 4 times.
I just forgot, and I trusted the chat like an idiot.
How many times have I got to say, don't listen to the fucking chat, Matt? They're all there to wind you up.
Like, the chat have got me where I've got to. And so I'm in Blighttown. Frame rate update. It is awful, even on the Xbox One X. One bit yesterday, it was so bad, I thought I was going to have a headache afterwards. It was that bad. But
I'm telling you, it was nowhere near as bad as PUBG is, but you never mentioned it for that. I've just got a feeling
I think I have.
Never have. Never have. John, let's get to the questions, mate. Come on.
Yeah, I'm not holding it up here. Don't blame me.
No, I know you're not. I know you're not. But Matt totally threw me by taking the joke.
I'm just going to get into question position, all right? But there may be some creaking.
Also, last week you didn't say your catchphrase, and I think you need to say.
That's because you mugged me off the second time I did it, so I decided to retire it.
Oh, right, sensitive.
Also, that's not until the tweets bit, is it? So hold your horses. This is emails first. Yeah. If you want to email us, it's thecomputergameshow@gmail.com. Right, kicking things off. Hey chaps, watching the insane Labo announcement was probably the most thrilled and excited I've been about a gaming innovation in a decade. I can't wait to discover how advanced the tech in these Joy-Cons is. The one thing that historically worries me about immersing my kids in video games is that I'm curtailing their creativity. This is a very well written email, and this allows us to create and play together. My daughter's face lit up.
Sorry, did he just compliment himself
No, that was editorial from me.
Just in brackets. This is a very...
When it goes into that lower voice, Dave, that's me editorialising, so
right,
just for future reference. My daughter's face lit up when she saw the video of the piano playing, and I think the potential for kits where you build classic arcade cabinet Star Wars droids and Metal Gear sneaking cardboard box sets is huge. Question for you all. Would those of us who are loving this announcement be so joyous about it if the Switch launch had been a mess? For me, I suspect I'd have been unhappy about it if we hadn't had an epic 2017 and got the foundations right, even as someone who found a huge amount of love in the quirky titles like Wii Sports Resort, Nintendo Land, Star Fox Zero, and 1-2 Switch. Keep up the good work, from Sean Thomas. So when I first read this, I was like, oh, that's a kind of a strange question. But then I think, yeah, no, he's right, because there have been other innovations and things that Nintendo have tried when they're in a bit of a down patch, when people are down on them, sort of Wii U sort of time, where people did... they weren't interested in anything like that. So what do you reckon if the Switch had been a bit of a mess or the games hadn't come yet?
I don't think they would have done it.
Well, I agree with that.
Well, no, but that's not what he's saying, though, is it? I totally agree with you. And like John, when I first read this, and I was about to reply to this by going, oh, come on, mate, what are you talking about, blah, blah, blah. But actually, he's got a fucking good point, because if the Switch launch didn't go well, and they hadn't released Zelda Mario, we'd be going... Nintendo, why are you fucking around with this when, you know, you want to get the games and the fucking console right first? So, I totally see his point, but thankfully, they've absolutely
also
smashed
it doesn't
it.
matter because it was a success.
Yeah, it's true.
Cool.
But no, it's an interesting point to make.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, next one. Hi, chaps. With so many games vying for our attention and time at a premium, it's becoming harder to give games the time they perhaps deserve. So my question is, how long do you tend to give a game before deciding whether to continue with it or bin it off? Matt?
30 seconds.
I'd say you probably give stuff about... You give stuff about 45 minutes, don't you, Matt? It's about...
I mean, if I had 45 minutes to myself, that would be amazing. And 45 minutes for me is like... That's like playing Final Fantasy VII. That's like, oh god, I put such a slog in, boys. It's incredible. The amount of hours of 45 minutes. I just haven't had time recently, but I'm hoping this week's a bit calmer. I
mean, that's not the question. I would say, it definitely varies. Yeah. And I know that's an easy way out, but I've binned off games after 2 hours. I've binned off games like 5 or 6 hours in. You know, it gets to a point where I just go, ooh, I'm done with this. The moment I feel that's the phrase I have in my head, I'm done with this. And then it's gone. That's it. And I don't go back to it.
Well, I know you're not going to believe me, but I basically, it sounds stupid now, but I wouldn't say I bin games off at all. Like,
what the hell?
Let me finish.
You always intend to go back, don't you, Matt? But it never happens.
You always do. I wouldn't say, okay, I'm actually done this game, because... What?
You don't tend to go back, you sell them.
Actually, that's true.
If it's worth money, I'll sell it, sure. But
do you send a little note with your eBay just saying, look, I intend to go back to this at some point, so if I give you a call...
I'm coming back to this. Save, keep my cheats written in the box.
Man, you're insane if you think what you're talking is anyway logical or credible. I mean, you're talking bollocks right now.
No, but I'm just saying, I never in my mind say, okay, I'm done with this game, I'm not playing with it again. I'm just saying, I'll come back to that. In 2000, never.
In 2000 sold. No, I mean, I know what you're saying. There are games... I always find a good time to bin a game off is when you feel that you have to put it on and you don't really want to. Like, you can't face it. You're like, I don't really want to play that anymore. Then that's it. Done. Don't even bother anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah, although sometimes I've done that. And then, sorry, whoever I was talking over there, but sometimes I've done that, and then I have... gone, oh, fuck it, I'll put it back on. Case in point, like Fallout 3, and then it's been great. So it's difficult. I'm having that with Assassin's Creed Origins at the moment. Loved everything that I played. Stopped for a couple of days, and now I don't want to put it back on. I never want to play it again, but I kind of want to as well. It's tough. So normally my solution with that is if I just get rid of it, sell it, trade it, whatever, lend it to someone, then it's gone and I can't really think about it anymore. But otherwise, I've got these hundreds of games over the years that are just hanging over me like this sort of niggling anxiety.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, no, that's a good point. James? I have
a slightly different problem, which is that I'm one of those people that I'm kind of completionist about stuff, and usually when I start, I kind of want to... I push through to the end, and it's really annoying because I so many times, this is like a problem I've got, because I know that I'm just wasting my life like with stuff that's rubbish. It's like, sometimes you end up just like continuing with stuff just because I want to get to the end. I want to finish it. And you just think, why did I bother doing that? In the grand scheme of things, it means nothing. I'm not even
What's
enjoying
the most recent game where you've done that, where you've gone, why?
FIFA 18?
The Journey.
Actually, yeah, The Journey does spring to mind, because it's not very good. But I did see it through to the end, and didn't really enjoy it that much. But it's like, I don't know why, I just felt like I had to get through it. It's I don't know why. I think it's probably it's maybe partly because, you know, when you're a kid, you don't have like a lot of games, so you often. I played so many things just to death because there wasn't like a huge amount of stuff to play, and I still feel like I need to like wring everything out of a game, and which is
Is this you trying to pretend that you're working class again because it ain't working? We've already revealed where you live. Go on, next.
I didn't grow up here, but anyway, it's.
I came into my world later
when I was a child, and mother's summer house in Aspen. They only had a small selection of video games. I was like, I should probably off to New York I go.
Alright, moving on. Hello lads, hope you're all doing well. So, Labo has been announced, the new hot topic of discussion. I'm sure you've all discussed the pros and cons earlier on the podcast, the toy cons in fact, so I thought I'd put my 2 cents in on the announcement. Much to the horror of the Discord, I expressed my dislike of the announcement, but I guess I'm just a soulless bore. I just wanted to know, what fads or announcements in the past did you just not give a shit about? I also never liked the dance mat craze or obsession with light gun shooters. Will Labo be a fad, or will I be bitter for years to come? Thanks guys, loves and kisses from Oodles. So, any fads?
There isn't a fad I haven't liked.
Yeah.
Like, at uni I had a dance mat, obviously, but that also meant that my room was one of the most popular ones, definitely. Obviously, plastic instruments. Light gun shooters, I mean, I love them in the arcade, but I don't remember doing much. I've
had a couple. I've had a few, actually. I had House of the Dead on a Dreamcast, too. I had Time Crisis on the PlayStation, and I think I had Lethal Enforcers on the SNES with a giant blue Magnum.
Did anyone have the...
You were one of the rare people that had a Sega Saturn. If you didn't have a light gun for that, what the fuck were you doing with your time?
Yeah. I'm not sure I call that a fad, but whatever. I'm well into fads, as you well know.
I'm well into fads.
Yeah. Did you have the what's it called? The Tony Hawk's controller? Yeah, that one.
No, I really wanted that one.
I nearly broke my foot.
The wide one, yeah.
Because you had to. It was a quite dense thing, and you had to I can't skate, but you kind of had to slam the back of the board with your foot to ollie. Obviously, I know that's not quite how you do it in real life, but that was the idea. That you copied something similar to what you did in real life. But I just had my weight on the front of the board.
I love that. Is it Top Skater in the arcade? The Sega arcade game where you're on the skateboard? That was bloody brilliant.
Well, anyway, on this one, I had all my weight on the front of the board.
Yeah, I was about to say, that wasn't really worth interrupting his story for, but that's fine.
But I had all my weight on the front of the board, and then I slammed my foot into the back of the board, but I just slammed my foot into a solid bit of plastic. It didn't move anywhere or anything like that, and I just felt like all the bones start to feel like they were disintegrating inside my foot. And that was the last time I ever played Tony Hawk's Skate or Shred or whatever the fuck it was called. What a piece of junk.
You're right, Dave. Yeah, I'm so sorry I interrupted that great story.
Well, it was going quite well, Matt, but then you had to tell me about something I couldn't even hear. But thank you for that. Anyway, I didn't like Wii Fit. Should we get on to the next question?
Yeah. What about Connect? Yeah, that was a fad that didn't last that long.
It did all right.
That lasted a fair few years, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right, here we go. Anyway.
This is my favourite answer.
All right, guys. When creating... That's not me talking, that's the letter. When creating characters in game, do you have a certain look or style you try to stick to? No matter the genre, I make the character look as much like myself as possible, even using my own name. It feels odd otherwise. Cheers, and that's from Ben Cameron, who you've seen in Mario Kart looking very much like himself. So, I do a similar sort of thing, but I give up after about 45 seconds when I realise I can't be arsed, so it just ends up white guy, hair.
So
generic
blue eyes.
Generic
that's
guy.
it.
Thankfully, Matt definitely does this, because you remember the Mario Kart incident, where he got Mario Kart and then we saw his bee.
Mario Kart incident.
Thankfully, I'm preset 1 anyway, so it's okay.
Yeah, Dave's
and I mean, not
generic.
exactly like
his
it.
me is basically the standard me.
Yeah, I think I'm the most standard-looking white man ever, but not not exactly spot on, but close enough for me not to bother fucking around with cheap sizes and stuff. Do you know what I mean? It's like, that doesn't look like me. It just looks like a white guy with like a brown hair and a flick. I'll just press A rather than going in and try and change the nose a bit. like to look a little bit more beaky. James, how about you?
I do pretty much the same as John. Just like I think I'm going to copy this and then copy myself and then just can't be bothered. Just can't be bothered.
This.
Just like a photo next to his monitor, and he's like, right, I'm going to copy this.
Copy this.
I mean, to be honest, it has become a lot more like sort of aspirational these days as like time has taken its toll on me, and so it's now like a version of me from about 20 years ago. So it's
yeah, we're all there. Don't worry about it. I mean, I don't think you'll ever beat Rainbow Six, the old Rainbow Six games with the Xbox Vision camera.
that
genuinely worked and looked brilliant, and it's such a shame they must still have that technology like wrapped up somewhere, because I remember FIFA tried it, didn't it?
Yeah.
Where you had to upload your photo to a website and then you turned up and it just looks horrific.
I've got a great picture. I've got a great picture of my character where I gave myself a beard and no hair, and the sideburns went up into my temple. It was horrific. I mean, me and mate James literally laughed for about 15 minutes straight. Looking at that, I almost died.
Yeah, it was nuts how well that works in Rainbow Six, but then how no one else has been able to do it ever. It's nuts.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Moon, the last email is from Adam Reynolds. This was the other part to the thing where he said nice things about Matt. Question. My mates and I have some amazing memories playing late night long matches of Command & Conquer Generals back in the day. Have any of you ever really been into the RTS genre? And if so, what games? If not, is there a game genre you used to play that you now miss? Myself, it's probably the one genre I know the least about, to be fair. It's not growing up with a PC, just not ever really being that interested in it. I've tried Odds and Sods, I've tried Command & Conquer, I tried Halo Wars briefly, I tried Company Heroes, but yeah, I don't know fuck all, to be honest, about RTS games.
I used to play a lot of these.
Strategy.
Yeah, I used to play a lot of these on PC, like mostly the Command & Conquer games, but also some Warcraft. But I kind of, again, this is another genre I kind of bounced off, because I really, with those games, I always really liked the sort of the resource management aspect of them, and when they kind of stopped being about that, I became less interested.
Yeah, I even had Command & Conquer on my Saturn, but I also liked Warcraft, or obviously I liked Total Annihilation. I think I prefer that actually to Command & Conquer, but I loved Red Alert, I loved all that stuff, yeah, back in the day. They're brilliant.
The genre that I was really into when I was young,
one, isn't it?
Sorry?
I wouldn't say it's real-time strategy.
No, I wouldn't have said that. That was more of a sort of action game, wasn't it?
What game is that? Sorry, I didn't hear you.
Cannon Fodder.
Yeah, and that is sort of a little bit.
Well, I guess
it's quite a fucking brilliant game.
A bunch of troops.
Yeah, it was the business, that game. But the genre that I was sort of into when I was younger that I fell away from definitely was sort of city building games. Sort of SimCity, Roller Coaster Tycoon, Theme Park, Theme Hospital. That Utopia game, I've banged on about quite a few times. I was well into that. And even I think The Sims killed it for me. I played that was probably the last of that style of game, if you can even really call them similar genres. That was the sort of last time I played one of those sort of point-click resource management sort of games.
They went out to new Theme Hospital, haven't they, Dave? Like in the last week.
They have. It's like the successor, but then I've played roller coaster games, which were my absolute favourite. Roller Coaster Tycoon, I would spend hours and hours and hours on, and I tried one of them not too long ago, and I just couldn't get into it. So I don't think that's not going to be a way back into that sort of genre. I just think you had more time then, and I didn't mind looking at just working on getting bars to go up. I mean, ironically, I play Destiny, but it's not really the same thing. So I sort of fell by the wayside in my gaming stuff. So I don't really miss it, but I enjoyed the time that I had with it.
Yeah, for me, on that second question, I would probably be like rhythm action games, and that's just because I think they kind of reached their pinnacle with the rock bands and guitar heroes when they're at their pomp, but then that stuff kind of died, and now the genre seems to be gone kind of back to where it was in the beginning, like kind of really esoteric Japanese games with crazy J-pop music that I'm sure mechanically they'd be fun, but Rock Band Blitz was the one on 360. That game is so amazing, and the fact that I've got my whole Rock Band library there and I'm not able to play it on Xbox One is devastating. So that genre, which was, I used to play them all, loved that genre, and now I don't play any.
It also felt that the focus moved away from those games, because at one point, you had Gitaruman and Uendan and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed more about having fun playing the music rather than and it was partly Guitar Hero and Rock Band's fault. It seemed that the focus suddenly went to, okay, let's make this as mental hard as possible. And it was like, that's never really why I got into it. Like, Uendan's very challenging, no doubt, but it was more about the fun of playing them rather than it being just crazy hard. And I felt that it kind of moved away from that genre.
Yeah, I think so, especially with those, like the Japanese ones that we're talking about. They don't seem to trend towards being very hard. Like so there's a DJ, it's like DJ something. I can't remember what it's called. Someone will tell me. I think they had like PSP and Vita versions of it. But anyway, should we move on to tweets? It's tweets time. If you want to tweet us, it's at Computer Game Pod on Twitter. So Stuart Baker will kick things off.
So before you go on, I mean, like, I'm a bit disappointed that no one took your soundbite from the last episode and put a fat bait on it. So if anyone's listening, John did that. It's tweet time last week. Get that, cut that, bang some dubstep on it, and we want to hear it.
2 weeks ago, but yeah, fine. Go on.
Stuart Baker kicks things off. Assuming that we lived in a horrible alternative universe where Mario and Zelda never came out last year, what would each of you have chosen as your definitive Game of the Year for 2017? Good question. P.S. Great to have John Denson on as a regular. Cheers, Stuart.
John, you go first.
I'll probably go ARMS. It's either ARMS or Edith Finch. I'll go ARMS.
Edith Finch would be a good shout.
Yeah, definitely.
I think personally, I'd have to go Future Unfolding. I loved it. I loved it. I've not mentioned it, but I loved it. James.
Sorry.
Matt.
Overruled.
Don't say it.
Don't say something.
Well, I've got so many options here.
I've got 4 points.
But in terms of what it did for me, I'll probably have to go Future Unfolding myself. I mean, Edith Finch is very, very close, but in terms of emotional impact, definitely Future Unfolding.
James? Yakuza?
Yakuza 0, yeah.
Nice.
Definitely.
Of course.
I plan to feed you Yakuza as an answer during every single tweet and email section for the rest of the time.
You've done it.
2 or 3 weeks in now.
It'll be juiced.
Yeah, juiced. Yeah. Did anyone play Juiced? No, go on.
I did actually, mate. Right, from Dave Hodgkins. Did John ever end up playing Nier Automata after his initial excitement with the demo? I haven't, mate, to be honest, and that's it's a gap from last year. It's something that I'm intending to get to at some point.
I think I've seen it cheap recently, actually, like 20 quid.
Yeah, I was looking for it cheap digitally, it didn't happen. Then I couldn't find it cheap in CEX or anything like that. So I do want to get to it for a multitude of reasons. I don't know if I'm going to do the whole playing it many, many times. Realistically, probably not. But I do absolutely want to play it. So yeah, that's on the long list, as it were. Right, that was just to me, wasn't it? So I'll keep going. Ben Syme, Scientologist. This is an interesting question. It sparked a bit of a debate, actually. I'll just do the original question. Something which has come up in the Discord and on Matt's Dark Souls stream. Without Sean, I feel the taste in games of TCGS has narrowed. I wonder what great games will get ignored, or if someone will stand up, play, and defend this Japanese stuff. Is it James anime like a Farley's time? I think this sparks a bit of a debate. I think it's maybe a little harsh. Obviously, Sean has predilection for choosing interesting and unusual games, but I like to think that that's something that I do as well, and I think everybody does. I know James was talking about Doki Doki Literature Club last week, and I don't think any of us are particularly disinterested in finding weird shit or unusual stuff or indie stuff. I certainly try and go out my way to find at least one smaller game each week to talk about. So I get it. Perhaps we're not hitting certain specific elements of the Japanese gaming scene, but I
mean, see, I play a lot of Japanese games, but the problem is a lot of the games that I play, as I explained in this tweet, is I play a lot of stuff which is older now.
Yeah.
And it's not stuff that is really suitable for this. I mean, at the moment I'm playing Steins Gate on Vita, but I'm not going to talk about that on here because it's really old, and I don't think people are going to be terribly interested in it. And David definitely isn't going to be interested in it. So, it's
cut you off pretty quickly
exactly.
with that one.
But stuff like talking about stuff like Persona, it's difficult. It's kind of difficult to talk about that with like massive enthusiasm on, because I know that none of you are interested in it, are you at all?
Well,
no
you say
interest.
that, James, but I have bought that game. It was going to be a surprise, but I was
Really?
surprised. Yeah, I bought that game. It's sitting on my PlayStation. That's next on my list of major games. So yeah, I want to give it a go. I just want to give it a go. I want to see. It was cheapish.
You need to like with it. You need to give it time though, because it's the typical.
Some things you can see though that
slow burn.
I think the style might get me through that period. Do you know what I mean? Like the style of it might get me through the rough period at the beginning if there is one or whatever. So I'm going to give it some time for sure.
Also, whack it on easy as well. Like don't try and play it on difficult. I mean, one of the other things that the Persona games have that I think is really great is they have a mode which is. It's like a story mode whereby there is combat in it, but it's so easy that it's just a walkover.
Right.
Which I know that sounds ridiculous and like there's no challenge at all, but really the enjoyment out of this kind of game is the story, I think, and the interaction you have with the other characters. So you can always play it that way.
Can you change it as you play? The difficulty?
Yes, you can.
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
You can change it. Yeah, you can slide it around. So that's worth a go. And just the music in that game is fantastic.
Yeah.
It has the best victory music in any game ever. But yeah.
Yeah, in the next few weeks. Going
back to the actual question though. I understand what you're saying, because if you're into games like Monster Hunter and stuff like that, and stuff that Sean talks about, you will feel as though we are going to be missing out on talking about that sort of stuff, because none of us are into Monster Hunter, none of us are really going to cover it, and so on. But I think John brings stuff, as someone mentioned on Twitter, John brings stuff that we haven't covered before as much. You know, we haven't really spoken about fighting games, and John's well into his fighting games, and there are stuff, you know, Lord Breakers, none of us really covered that, but if John was on the show, he would have.
I think no one covered that. I think that's the trouble.
Okay, Matt. Yeah, but like it's I think, to be fair, we're not too bad. Like, I mean, this is obviously from our point of view, because you know, I love indie games and I play a lot of those. We cover a lot of Nintendo stuff. We cover the AAA stuff as well. I think we have got a fair amount of diverse gaming, but there will always be potholes. You know, real time strategy games won't be covered that much, and it's if you're looking for that sort of stuff, you know what sort of games we're into. We're not going to try and force ourselves to play games we don't like, because I don't think it's fair to cover games in that way, you know. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've played games and sort of said, okay, it's not really for me, so I know, you know, I'm not a fan of this genre, so I can't really say if it's a genuinely really good or really bad version of this, you know, style of game. But at the same time, it would be pointless for me to cover Monster Hunter next week. It'd just be stupid. So I'm not going to. Don't want to either. Yeah. So leave me alone, all right?
I think it's a fair point, but I don't think that it's necessarily too much of a concern for me. But at the same time, if people want to hear, if people really felt like, loads of people really felt like that, I guess we'd want to hear that.
Yeah, no, for sure. But I think we're kind of, with swapping, with Sean leaving and you coming, it feels like we've lost. Okay, we're losing stuff like Monster Hunter and some more of the sort of niche Japanese stuff, but we're also bringing in fighting games and like you've already spoken about games that we've never covered. So it just, you know, yeah, we're losing something, but we're gaining something as well.
For real. All right, moving on. Darren Gargett. Hi, David. What's your favourite way to iron clothes?
Well. So you should ask. Funny,
give a 6-hour podcast now. If you're looking at the time and wondering why this is a 4.5-hour podcast, this is the question.
2 pro tips. I'll just give you 2 quick tips. Dark clothing that iron inside out, standard. Don't use the spray on the iron. Actually get one of those hairdresser spray things and use that. It makes things a million times easier, especially for shirts. There you go.
I thought it was 2 pro tips. So was that both? Yeah, no, that was 2. Sorry, mate. Take it back. Yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah. I love ironing. It's
great. I know it's weird, but you know, we all like different things. Right, Tom Durbin.
We do.
My friend lent me a copy of Sonic Forces, and predictably, it's top tier dog shit. What's the least surprising thing in video games? Recently, for me, the least surprising thing in video games is people finding a way to get outraged about something ridiculous, which dilutes the water of stuff that's worth getting outraged about. There you go.
I see what you're saying. I don't think that's the most predictable thing in video games.
All right.
I think if we were to had it, I'd thought about this today. What's the most predictable thing in video games, right? Out of everything. Because if they said we're not releasing, like if they said there's a new Call of Duty coming
okay, so you're
out
drilling down into this question properly. That's fair enough.
Big time, big time,
enough.
right? So if they were to say there's a new Call of Duty out next year, right, that's predictable. Yeah. But I think even more predictable than that is that there's a new FIFA coming out this year. You know when they announce the new FIFA, right? We all know what that is, and we all know that it's the most pointless announcement ever. They've got to do it, obviously, to say, yeah, no, there's a new FIFA coming out. But at the same time, you're like, we know. Do you know what I mean? I fail to think of something more predictable than a new FIFA coming out this year.
Yeah, I don't think I can.
The next Mario game will be good.
No, because again, I still don't think that's anywhere near as predictable as there's going to be a new FIFA game this year.
I think also that whenever there's something new big that comes, there's loads of other games will copy it, and there'll be loads of copies of that will appear. So you've had PUBG, and then now you've got a ton of other people trying to iterate on the same thing. I
guess, but that's not necessarily gaming related, though, is it? Trends follow trends. It's like that will always happen. People will nick ideas all day long. I just don't know. I just think, I was thinking about this today, and I was thinking, you can apply that to PES. No, you couldn't. It's like, if they said there's going to be no PES this year, you'd go, I kind of get why that's not happening. Whereas, if they were to go, there's no FIFA this year, you'd go, that is what? Why? That would be insane. I don't know.
I think
sorry, I've really boiled this down into the most boring answer ever, but there you go.
I think you're probably right.
That's what Verbal Brain meant.
Yeah, that's fine, because the next question is quite relevant to that.
Right, Tom, apologies, Doughty, Rukaku Police, anyway, I don't know exactly how to say that surname, so let me know on Twitter. Which TCGS member is the biggest Poindexter?
Well, that's easy. Oh, no, is it?
I don't really know what a Poindexter is. Obviously, I've heard the word.
Yeah, I had to look it up today. The definition is a boringly studious and socially inept person.
Okay.
No offence, James.
Is it James? It's probably James.
It's probably me. It always is, isn't it? When these things happen.
The thing is, though, James, is that I really enjoy your company, genuinely, and I find you really entertaining and stuff. Sometimes when you go on about Chinese history, I mean, I find it fascinating, but that's pure Poindexter, right? That is pure.
Yeah, sure. It's me. It's got to be me.
Sorry, mate.
It's fine. I don't mind.
Yeah, it would be me, but I'm not studious.
You're too wacky to be. You're too wacky.
Wacky?
Yeah. Matt, you want an electronic skateboard at the age of 36?
Not just one, boy. I bought one.
Have you got it?
You've bought one?
No, it hasn't arrived yet. I can't wait.
Oh my God.
I'm looking forward to the Instagram story that ends up with you in hospital.
Oh, no, I bought a helmet, but I probably... Jill's convinced I'm going to die. And I'm like, no, I'll be fine.
Jill's a smart lady.
Yeah.
Please don't do what Casey Neistat does through all the traffic in New York. Please don't do that.
I'm vlogging through the streets of Leeds,
exactly
no
what
doubt.
he's going to be doing, through Leeds.
Oh, God.
No, I'm not going to be vlogging, but I will be vlogging
I watched a vlog the other day. I don't know, it come up on my recommendations. It was like, the title was, I bought my friend Super Mario Odyssey, and it was the launch day for Super Mario Odyssey, and it was just a bloke that bought his friend, but he had an electronic skateboard, and this was over the course of a day, and there were about 3 points where it was just him going up to people saying, can I plug my skateboard in, please?
Also, David, it's electric skateboard, not electronic. Right,
or whatever. But could you imagine going back 20 years and going, in the future you're going to have to charge up your skateboards, your fags, and your books. It's just insane.
And your watch.
It's mental. And your watch. Well, okay, go on.
All right, final tweets from Adam Turner at Tetsuya. Do any of you intend on giving GT Sport a go? I can highly recommend it if you're into your racing games. Great for beginners and advanced players. I played the demo and I was like, nah. But I'm just not really into that kind of realistic racer. And I like the original GT 1 and 2 back in the Diz-A, but nah, not for me.
Yeah, I mean, it looks absolutely gorgeous, but I can't commit to that. But it does look great.
when I bought the PS4 Pro, this was one of the options that they were going to give me, but I was like, no, I'm not interested. I don't know.
Why are you not interested?
I don't know. You see, the only racing games I really like are like Forza Horizon. I enjoyed, but I don't really like more serious like style racing games at all.
See, I thought that, and then I played Project Cars, and it was fucking excellent. Project Cars is really good, and so there is a sort of space for that in Gran Turismo, but there's nothing appealing about it to me. I've not seen one bit of that game and thought, oh, I really want to play that, which is bizarre, I guess. But I don't know. Yeah, no is the answer from all four of us there. It's another gap in our gaming catalogue. Is that it?
I think that's it. Yeah, decent selection of tweets this week. I like the fact that there was a nice little debate going on in the comments on Ben's question as well. So, yeah, keep firing them at us, guys. And I'll keep bringing the fire. I said fire.
Gotta love John's reviews. Matthew Murray, what do you want people to do this week?
Hi there. Well, obviously we're on Twitter, at Computer Game Pod on Twitter. I mean, I think at least half the show these days is on Twitter, so get involved there. I'm doing a Dark Souls stream every Sunday night from 9, so go over to twitch.tv/Computer Game Show to watch me live every Sunday. We are going to try and do some others in the week if we can. I do actually want to do a second Dark Souls stream this week because I want to get back to that. And if you go to our YouTube channel, just search us over on YouTube, the full versions of the Dark Souls streams and anything else we've done, and as well as the episodes, of course.
And subscribe to the channel as well over there. Make sure you hit subscribe if you haven't.
Yeah, subscribe. And again, if you subscribe on Twitch, thank you ever so much. But if you're an Amazon Prime customer and haven't already, you can connect your Twitch account and give us a free sub, and that's also a massive help. So thank you if you've done that. And also, we really super appreciate any reviews on Apple Podcasts. So get over there, drop us a review, drop us a good one.
Okay, cool. Well, thanks for living it. We'll see you next week. All right? Cardboard and that, innit?
Ooh.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Peace.
Bye. Oh, no, don't do that, John.
Yeah, you can do that. Shut up.
Yeah, okay. No, but I was going to do it this week. Ours is my new thing.
Go on then.
Peace.